Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Casting the Spotlight episode number 163 with the man E making his debut on the podcast, handle Rambo Go Crazy, the Tik-Tok, the one true tribal chief of TikTok.
The tribal chief, man. I thank y'all for putting me on here.
Oh yeah. Gotta build you up, you know.
Ah man, my community calls me they were calling me the fucking online tribal chief, and I was like, I can't use that shit. I can't use
it's copyright.
It's copyright. I can't do that. We gotta come up with something different.
Oh yeah.
Because like I can't market that. A lot of people coming after me. I'm like, nah, I can't do that.
It is dope though. Everybody tries to use it because they're like tribal chief. Like every group has a tribal chief since Roman Reigns started calling himself the tribal chief. He's the man, you know.
OTC. Some people would argue, though. I heard some people like that's what I thought it said is one tribal or only tribal chief or something like that. And then I heard some people saying like, oh, it stood for original tribe. I'm like, I don't think he would say
one true chief.
Yeah. Did we ever figure that out?
Only tribal chief.
I think it's the only tribal.
Yeah, that's what I thought. that's what I thought. Whenever he came out wearing that, because he wore it at SummerSlam, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought it meant. It's like OTC. And then I heard multiple different interpretations for it.
During the rivalry with Solo and that bloodline, though, it was the bloodline versus the original bloodline. So then I was like, okay, so it's the original tribal chief.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of at with it too, because it's like you got the original like tribe, which was Roman Reigns, Sammy, the Usos, Paul Heyman, and then you had Solo have his own, and we kind of see where it's going with the story. It kind of very much finished, but it's still like uncertain.
Yeah,
because Solo lost. He went out on SmackDown. He talked on the mic. They barely let him speak. They were booing him. And he basically just walked away. Didn't say a word. We haven't seen him since.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, right, if Solo is going to go down like this Roman like type storyline where Roman basically lost everything and he disappeared. So I think that's what they're probably going to try to run with Solo. But then I honestly think that Jacob Fatu basically takes that all over, and they become their own group with Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. They become their own group when Tonga Loa gets healthy. And you could probably insert Zilla or whoever you want to put in that group, and there go your new bloodline without even calling it the bloodline, basically.
Yeah. Jacob Fatu, he's easily the most like impressive member of that bloodline, I think.
I think that it would come to some sort of like, I guess it wouldn't be a conclusion, but the storyline would kind of like
be Roman
branch
Solo
off more.
Yeah,
is I guess the best way to put it. But in order to do that, I feel like Solo, but he just lost, so it seems like it would. Not that I think, because I agree with you. I don't think it's over either, but like it feels like I don't know how much left has to happen, but once you separate Solo from them, be like, I took you down, the original bloodline, superior kind of thing. Like, where do the other guys go? Because I can kind of see it. But I think the way that part of it's over is Solo's got to get kind of taken out and removed. Like, that's where that part of it ends.
he gets taken out.
But then, I don't know if they would then again feud with the other group that you're kind of saying, because like they might do their own thing, and that could be cool in itself.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that would split off, and then Roman would kind of like keep his part of the story going, or what do you think would happen there?
Me personally, I feel like with the Roman story, I don't know. For the longest, I've been feeling right. Raw went over to Netflix, right? How can we better Raw's roster? I see them doing like a transfer portal. They're like pulling people from SmackDown. They're going through the portal, coming over to Raw. What if you just put the bloodline on Raw? You put Roman, you bring Roman over there with Jay, and you basically try to like change up the roster. They say we are in a new era now with Netflix. Switch up the roster. I think that's the best way that they can do to make everything feel new to the newer audience who is tuning in now because it's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's a new era, You basically put certain people on different brands and try to build bigger stories, and that's how you get more eyes on their product.
And see, that first Netflix Raw was a conclusion of sorts too, because he beat Solo in like that was the opener, right? The first match of Raw Netflix. It was the end of Relive. Finally, they only had 46 matches.
Yeah.
It was, some of it was good, but it was like, this feels like it's gone on a little too long.
Way too long.
You know what I mean? For sure.
Same with Damian Finn, and then that wrapped up the next week.
Yeah. But they do need some and that's kind of what I mean. Like, sometimes whenever people are like, oh, this is what everything builds up to all year, and I'm like, I'm convinced that they don't always know they might know the main matches that they want to do at Mania, but I'm not convinced they know the whole card well in advance by any means. Because sometimes injuries happen or alter, different things. They, certain guys can't work the schedule, or, just plans change. Because I'm like, some of these seem very thrown together. Like, at least half the card still feels like that. It really does. There's 2 or 3 matches, I agree, that are really set to be happening all year, building towards it, at least, maybe 2 or 3. In some cases, I'm sure there's been like 6 or 7 or whatever. But like, and then it feels like other matches where they're like, oh, this is, the best kind of situation for it to come together, I guess, for like Mania season. And that's, I'm sure we're going to theorize about that and stuff tonight too, because I got my own, and I mentioned that to Elijah the other day about all the components and somebody potentially being excluded. I don't know how that's going to work. Because now I have there's another match that I was like, well, that would be kind of fucking crazy if it happened. Jeez, should I just throw it out there right now? I guess we can get into it. Because we're going to talk about Rumble in this one too.
Yeah.
But like, we were talking about how you get Punk to keep his main event while not basically compromising anybody else's position, or really anybody compromising anyone's. But we also don't know if Rock's going to be involved. There's other things. Like, I hope he is, because they had that thing with Cody. It would feel larger. John's last WrestleMania. There's a lot of things. I'm like, if we get Punk, John, can you imagine Punk, John, and The Rock all on the same card again in 2025? Yeah. And I'm like, that's going to happen. Well, that at least could happen once at WrestleMania this year. But I'm like, that depends on if Rock works Roman or Rock works Cody.
Roman, Solo, Rock, Cody.
But I also saw somebody suggest that what if, like, this would be really interesting though, because so Gunther goes into Mania and defends it against, like, say Punk or John win the Rumble, but that becomes a triple threat, and I'm like, I could almost see that if one of the matches was a multi-man, I could almost see like that one happening. Like a match that I feel like they're gonna eventually get to is like Drew, Seth, and Punk in a triple threat. But the thing is, I don't think that would happen at Mania, because one of them would have to be champion. I think they're gonna try to give Punk his main event. Do we think that?
I think that's
this year.
I think that's probably the best choice. Honestly,
Which one?
Like, you can run Punk. There's so many different directions you can go with the Rumble winner. You can give Cena his. You can give Punk his.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel like that is due for a WrestleMania moment has to be Punk, because Punk is getting up in age. He did get hurt last year in the Royal Rumble last year, and he was literally he was in the final 2. So there's no way that you don't give him his WrestleMania moment this year, because who knows if he can get hurt or something like that.
I think so too.
I think he's the best choice to give it to, and you have Cena win it at the Chamber. That's how you do that.
Yeah, you could.
Because, I mean, Cena's going to be in, like, a highlight reel moment, like, Mania match, because it's his last one. It's going to be his last Mania. So it's like, he's got to be in a big match, like a marquee match already.
Can you imagine, though? Because
Punk, it's more uncertain. He's got, it feels like he needs to win the Rumble more than Cena needs to win the Rumble. Because Cena, there feels like a little bit of a safety cushion there. Like, we know this is his final year, so it's not like he's not going to lose to Austin Theory at WrestleMania this year.
He might have a series of missed opportunities, because I'm like, thinking about it, that's the interesting thing. When we think that Punk should, and he, by all rights, he might still. I think in the back of my mind, I still know that that's probably what they're going for, at least at some point. And definitely this year, you could do a match with Punk in the main event. But if they did that, it would also suggest the theory that I'm like, so fucking Gunther goes in with the belt, Cena's last Mania, and if Cena won, it would be 17. But Punk being in his main event, it's like if he wins, he wins the main event to wrestle at least one of the nights. It would probably be like night one, and like Roman, whatever match he's in, would be like the other one. Or Cody, I guess. But yeah, all those guys like would be involved, and I'm like, that would be, I don't know, that would be cool because like you also really wouldn't know if like maybe Cena would win it,
Yeah.
But I honestly think what could happen is, maybe he misses the Rumble opportunity, and maybe he does, win the Elimination Chamber. Maybe he goes, misses the opportunity at Mania, but at some point, you know what I'm saying, like down the road of the year, he's able to win the belt. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
What do you guys think about like? How do you? I mean, what kind of match do you think Cena's gonna be involved in at Mania? Do you think it's gonna be a title match?
I think me personally, in my opinion, this is how I will book it. You basically have Cena. We already know he's on a losing streak. He has not won a match in God knows how long. So you basically book him just repeatedly losing. That's kind of the story that they're giving out, that Cena has lost countless matches. He goes into the Rumble. He could possibly win that match because the odds is, anybody can win. So you basically have him lose that because Cena doesn't technically need the Rumble to get to WrestleMania. He doesn't need it. So he goes on a losing streak, go out to the chamber, they possibly win, or you play the part of him losing at the chamber and somehow getting a WrestleMania match. But I just feel like Cena doesn't need the Rumble to get to that point of coming to Mania. It's majority Punk who needs it because that's kind of the focal point of what they've been like presenting lately. Punk is keep on talking about winning the Rumble, eliminating Cena. He's just throwing countless jabs out about eliminating people in the Rumble. So you kind of just give him that win. I think he's due for it. I think that's probably the best decision they can make.
We're pretty late in the game for his career.
Pretty much, and he do got a lot
of them now.
He do got a lot of enemies coming after him. You can't forget about the enemies he got. You got Drew McIntyre, still not done with him after that Hell in a Cell match. And then you got Seth, who said, and I quote, he said, he will do everything in his power to make sure that he does not win that Royal Rumble. And I think Seth might be the crash out of the Rumble. I think he might just go off the hinges and just start attacking people after he get eliminated.
Just turn heel going into Mania season.
I think he's due for a heel turn. I don't mind Seth as a babyface, but I think Seth is best at him being a heel. That's where he was at his best.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can like play both pretty well, but
he's
a good heel. Yeah, there's some guys that are just better face or heel. Like Orton, always better heel.
Oh yeah.
Edge was always
Triple
a better
H was
heel.
always a better heel too.
Yeah. But yeah, he can play both pretty well, Rollins. I feel like that could be interesting though too, to have him kind of turn going into Mania season, because I don't really know where you go with a lot of these main event people.
It's and a lot of this, some of it, we don't know if Rock's wrestling or not. If he's wrestling, he's for sure main event of night 2. Do we agree to that?
Yeah.
I think he main events.
You know what I mean?
And him main eventing makes me feel like,
I don't know which one, but I would assume it'd be night 2.
Maybe that's the triple threat. Maybe Cody has to face all the odds. He has to face Rock and Roman.
I've heard that thrown around too.
I don't know.
That would tie them all together, but is that? It'd be like it'd still be Roman and Cody,
and then building into it, it would be like Rock and Roman would be like the boys, they would be the team where they're like, we're taking it off this motherfucker one way or another, and then
we're gonna beat you senseless, Cody.
Come Mania, there would just be a point. Maybe Cody even walks out with the belt, because like one of them fucks the other one over at some point, and it's just then it just turns into a crash out between all three of them, and Cody ends up still sneaking away and getting the win away from both of them. Because you can't put the belt back on Like, you're not gonna put it on Rock, probably.
I don't know, honestly. Like, as crazy as it sounds, like, I also could see him just, I mean, that's kind of the thing that bugged me is, like, I didn't like that he wasn't final boss, like, whenever he came out at the Netflix premiere. I was like, what?
A lot of people didn't like that.
I fucking, like, I hope that's
I think
not
that was part of
gone.
the story, though. I think that he was, like, trying to be... Because he was, like, overly Mr. Buddy Buddy. You know what I mean? With, like, everybody. It was like...
And then he came out on NXT and he was like, just let the story play out. He was like basically saying the final boss is always 10 steps ahead. So like, it's like you're like teasing us and you're pulling us in. You're pulling us in and then you're like, just let it play out. And it's just like, okay, are you gonna wrestle? Like,
I think that means something though. I hope
anticipation.
Yeah,
I was like joking around with Cody. It was like, what the fuck? He's like,
so
Mama Rose, I said hi, and so it's like, this ain't like something's going on.
I didn't see his Netflix thing, or not Netflix. I didn't see his. Oh, I guess it makes sense. But no, I didn't see his the NXT thing though.
Yeah,
was it like a video of him, or was he actually there?
He was actually there. He was actually there. He was talking, but the problem was, right, I guess NXT ran on a little too long, so he literally went out there and talked for, I think it was like 5 minutes, and they started playing the credits. So it was like he didn't really say too much. He just basically was like telling us like, just let it play out and you will see what happens, like basically towards that timeline. So it's like it's a little like we're getting swerved. Mm-hmm. That's how I will look at it, and they're not just trying to, and build the anticipation that we're going to see The Rock, because that's what everybody will expect. So they're trying to like tease it without really saying anything about it. But no telling if Rock is going to wrestle or if he's not, because you can literally take WrestleMania and so many elements without Rock being there. So
they haven't stacked enough roster to where like they really don't need to have The Rock wrestle a match.
But imagine how big it is.
It would be huge.
Cena and fucking
yeah.
It's gonna be it's shaping up to be like in that Rumble match. Even I was like, this is already looking like a pretty fucking stacked Rumble.
One.
Like,
it's gonna be a
big
Mania season, just in general. Like
41, WrestleMania 41.
This will be the last Cena like Mania season.
That Rumble, like I tell my chat every day, that Final Four is gonna be insane. I even tried to think about going. Ticket prices are crazy. Nosebleeds, $600 for 2 tickets. If that's not telling you that they're gonna make sure that's a highly anticipated show, that's all I can tell you right there. It's gonna be a monumental moment going on in that Rumble.
We could get some surprises that night.
Oh, I see you got the Charlotte Flair shirt on. We can definitely see Charlotte in there.
Yeah.
They played her vignette on SmackDown, so
calling it right now. That's
if she comes back, she's probably winning it
for sure. I think so.
It's either my 2 picks. It's either Charlotte and then it's Io.
Yeah,
they're the only 2 people that make logical sense of winning that women's Rumble.
The fact that we
I like Io a lot too, so I like wouldn't be upset with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Charlotte. As soon as like there's.
We haven't seen her in so long either.
Yeah.
She got hurt on the way to Mania season.
If you return at the Rumble, you'll win a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not every time.
Not every time.
But
it surprised me that Edge, whenever he made his surprise entrance that year, he didn't win. It was like the next year that he won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times, just, Cena did. Who else did off the top?
When we went, Ronda Rousey came back and won.
And then Lesnar surprised everybody.
Lesnar
Came back out, baby. Which I called that after he lost. I was like, watch him fucking win.
That match was like not even worth watching once he came out at 30. It's like, bro, we know how this is playing out.
I was there live.
Yeah.
And to know that I already had this feeling once he, like, how it happened, he got screwed. I'm like, they're going to do it. Number 30 comes out. What do I hear? Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, I don't care no more. And he won, and I'm like, well, we're getting that match again. And it was just like,
yeah, we were there too. It was kind of funny because like as soon as the match ended, the last guy's feet were hit the floor being tossed out. Like as soon as Brock's music started, you just saw droves of people standing up and walking out.
I was just like, well, this is kind of unfortunate. Like the one Rumble I went to, which is I think it was like 2012. I think Sheamus won.
Yeah.
And
I was in that one.
That was a good Rumble, but that Rumble was I was not thrilled with that Rumble, and I was there live. Normally when I go to shows live, I'm actually like, oh, it's a better experience.
Mm-hmm.
Being there live and watching that, I was just like, what the hell is this? You didn't have to give me this.
You didn't like Sheamus winning?
Sheamus, I actually liked it that Rumble. Sheamus actually won that one. I think Jericho came back that year, and he was like in the final two with Sheamus. Yeah. So that Rumble wasn't bad, especially with like the timeline and everything. It wasn't all that bad. But it has been Rumbles where I watched where it was just like, I think it was one where Shane was in it, and he was like eliminating like majority half of the Rumble, and I was like, what the fuck is Shane doing out here? Like, eliminating people that's on active television every week.
What was that?
Because he's the best in the world.
Yeah, he is.
The best in the world. I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, there's a lot of things from that, like, timeline. Like, what is going on here? Or you can't forget about my favorite guy, the infamous Jinder Mahal, winning the WWE Championship. That was an interesting time frame of wrestling right there. Of Jinder Mahal being champion.
Was that like 2017? What year did that happen?
I love seeing the best in the world thing. I mean, he won.
Yeah, Jinder was out there like kicking Orton's ass and stuff. It's like, what?
Yeah, he beat
him
him like 4 pay-per-views in a row.
He beat Nakamura countless times, and I was just like, okay. And Nakamura was red hot, and you had him lose. He made the story about
Nakamura always lost. So that's the thing. Like even when he never got his due in WWE. Like even at his hottest moment, he still lost all the big moments. It was like
he won that Rumble,
and
then
this guy.
He won the Rumble.
That was about the highlight.
And then what did he do? He went out there, had a match with AJ Styles, and
they all became a
fucking. It was out there one blowing each other. I was like, what is this?
It was like the nut shot.
It was a nut shot rivalry for like 3 shows in a row.
I don't understand how that's the trajectory that feud took. Of everything you could have done, you could have had like a few bangers, like 3 of them. And then it went 4 and none of them made any sense.
It was Vince. He was like, I don't know what to do with these guys. Just have them punch each other in the nuts.
That was an interesting time of wrestling, which thank God we're not getting that type of stuff anymore. We're getting better storytelling and not, off the wall stuff that Vince cooked up. Somebody had to have been in his head telling them, like, oh man, this is such good shit right here. Keep it going, Vince.
Pal! I knew it was, pal.
Just justifying it.
Yeah. Like this yes man. Everybody's got some of those guys,
Yeah, and there's like a lot of the time period, like when we were watching it was just like you can just like honestly like see like you can tell a Triple H booking choice to a Vince booking choice, especially at that time frame where like they were switching it up, and sometimes Triple H would book the show and then Vince would book it. You know what Vince will cook up and what Triple H will cook up.
Sometimes it sucks though because you're like, is Vince gonna go with the the result like we a lot of us would hope for as fans? Is he gonna go with the just something kind of shitty, or is he gonna go with just some off the wall shit that you're like that makes you feel like not only was that predictable, but it was like even worse than what you thought. You're like, that was not even just predictable. Like,
just trying to throw a curveball.
Yeah, like that was a dumb way to the predictable thing would have at least made sense. But like for a while he had like an arc where he just booked shows that I just did not understand why the fuck did Bray lose all those matches?
And yeah, that was a real bummer. Especially in perspective, like looking at it now, it's like he could have he was still one of the coolest characters ever, and one of the most thought out, he specifically really had a vision for himself kind of characters ever. But he could have been even so much bigger.
Well, he, especially in like an age like this, that kind of character doesn't really like exist. But he was like all in on it and made you like a believer in it.
Made you believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I became a Bray Wyatt fan, because the storytelling, how this is probably one of my favorite feuds of when Bray Wyatt was still alive, was the match with him and Cena at Mania. That was probably one of my favorite matches, just off the storytelling alone and everything that Bray Wyatt and Cena put into that story. And to see how WWE now is kind of, embracing, Bray Wyatt's lost and everything, I still feel like, and to this day, it was a missed opportunity with a lot of the stuff that Bray Wyatt tried to make Vince, believe in it, and Vince went with his own direction with the Fiend character, which we've seen how that went with talent of Goldberg defeating the Fiend at Crown Jewel.
Yeah, that's still kind of a bummer.
Like, or when Bray Wyatt,
He doesn't like Goldberg.
I don't like Goldberg. I will forever.
Goldberg, the man.
I like Ryback more than Goldberg, and that's even worse. But like, just Goldberg
Ryback.
being on TV is just not what I want to see in 2025. I don't want to see it. Even though he's due for his last match. Okay, cool. You give him his last match, put it on Crown Jewel or something.
I think it probably will be. Yeah.
He's gonna get paid probably a shitload of money.
He's gonna want to get the biggest check.
Oh yeah,
probably.
Put it on Crown Jewel. Me personally, I'll probably skip out on it. I'll probably go to the bathroom, but I will watch majority of the card with that match. But I think he can be due for his last match, and go off.
It depends on who he's facing. Like,
didn't it feel like it was gonna be him and Gunther?
That could be cool. Like, because I feel like since his return in WWE, like this last run, I guess you could say, his match with Brock at Mania wasn't bad, and his Falls Count Anywhere, like no holds barred with Bobby Lashley at Crown Jewel, that was a good one too. Those are probably like his two best matches, and they were against like big, heavy hitting dudes. Yeah, since like his return, it was like Brock and Bobby.
Mm-hmm. That third,
and they're very similar.
Goldberg's. Hey, I hate to tell 2016 Paul Heyman that, but Goldberg's still one up on Lesnar. He's got the first one. He's got the next one, and he lost the Mania one, but Brock never cared. When the fuck's he coming back?
Maybe never.
I think he might. I think
he might.
They re-added him to everything.
They re-added him and everything, and like they'll like mention his name, but I don't know what they do with Brock. Even if you do bring Brock back, who do he face? Is like the number one question right there.
Is it too late to bring him back in time for WrestleMania, or?
I mean, the Rumble needs surprises.
Can you imagine? Like, I would honestly be shocked if he came out in the Rumble. That would be like a shock.
What's more likely, Brock Lesnar working WrestleMania or The Rock?
That's an interesting.
The Rock.
I think The Rock is more likely, because just off the simple fact that he is still like around.
He's still in. He's still kind of in play. Yeah.
He's still in play.
I think he is trying. He knows everything gets out so easily. That's probably why he's keeping everything so quiet, because he's trying to make you think about it. But can you imagine? And I had this theory, and I told you this at work. If the 30th entrant comes out and somebody thinks they won to the very end, and then the final boss rock music hits and he announces, because everybody knows he's in charge. That's part of what the final boss is. You're in charge of all the shit, and he's just The Rock is entering number 31. And he adds himself to a part of I don't know if that'll happen, but I'm what if that happened? I don't know what made me think of that, but I was like, that would actually be...
If he did that, I'd be like, he's probably winning this fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, because otherwise it'd be he would get in the ring and then get thrown out. So, if he doesn't win, it would almost be kind of dumb for him to do
It'd be hilarious. You would have to do it almost to where he got in the ring and didn't even get the mic out of his hands and then got tossed out by somebody, though. That could be kind of funny. He's like, oh, yeah. Shit. Because he could honestly still try to play it. If he could be really dirty and play it and be like, that didn't happen, and then just get back in and keep going.
Or even if there was one or two people left, and then the guy that thinks he's last throws the other guy out, and then The Rock's music hits, and then he enters 31.
Yeah.
You think it's over. Because that's kind of what I meant. I was like, not even just him entering number 31, like, 90 seconds later, whatever. I mean, like, you think it's over and somebody won, and then his music's like, nope. Just gives. But if he really wanted to in the story, he could just, like, give himself an opportunity at the belt. He didn't have to, like, even go through the Rumble.
Yeah, but he could do it just to be a prick.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
Well, that would get him a lot of heat. The Rock takes another Rumble. There's so many young guys that need it more. That's what a lot of people would say.
You definitely get some heat on X for that. You definitely get some heat.
Oh, yeah.
all the rest of the podcast would blow up.
It would be kind of funny, though. But, like, honestly, if I was booking it, and I know that's from a fan standpoint, too, and I don't even necessarily know if he's like my favorite WWE right now, but he's up there with some of my favorites of all time. But it does feel like it should go with Punk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Rumble.
Yeah.
I think so from like a booking and fandom standpoint, but what I also kind of think happens, because I think that's like a logical choice too.
I think it's hard to predict though. Like,
because the men's is harder than the women's for sure this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The men's is just.
I kind of thought Bayley would win the last one.
It's so many people in that Rumble match where the story can go anywhere. You got Cena's story, you got Punk's story, hell, you got Roman's story. It's a lot of places where the story can go just off of this Rumble, and we will find a conclusion on what they're booking for Mania just off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the confirmed matches for Rumble as of right now?
I think it's only the men and the women. Nothing else has been really confirmed yet because they've been focusing on Saturday night's main event. So
yeah,
that's kind of like the focal point right now, and I think that's where we're gonna start getting towards these matches of what's supposed to be happening. But a lot of the matches happen at Saturday night's main event, so it kind of like contradicts itself a little bit.
Yeah, they have a handful of people that have announced themselves for the Rumble. You got the ladder match.
Yeah, the ladder match.
KO and Cody. And I don't know anything else I think it's happening.
Yeah, I think it's literally that, and then the two Rumble matches. It's the only thing that's been confirmed, and then everything else is like matches for Saturday night's main event, which half of the matches, some of these talents have declared for the Rumble. So it's like, we know they're not going to win. So
that's what. Yeah, it is silly as fuck.
Like, we know Jey Uso's not going to beat Gunther at Saturday night's main event, and a lot of people were like banking on it, and I'm just like,
it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
He's not dropping the belt before WrestleMania, and honestly, us thinking of those guys or like anybody else potentially, not to teeter off too far, but like it makes me think that because that's the thing. I don't know when the Saudi show is. But if he might hold on to the belt maybe through Mania and then have the belt, and that's Goldberg's retirement match. Goldberg tries to win the belt, and he might lose Goldberg. But I can see it being for the belt, especially if it's with Gunther, and I'm like, he would need to hold on to the belt through Mania to have that match.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to happen for the belt maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that could happen.
I could see that happening, though.
I think if, like, honestly with me, even though we I'm a big believer in Jey Uso. I love what Jey Uso's doing. I honestly think he is due for a World Heavyweight Championship. It's just not happening.
No, it's not gonna happen.
It's too soon. I feel like he's still there. He's like the peak of his time right now. I think he's like almost close to probably the number 1, number 2 merch seller in WWE right now. I don't think he needs a World Heavyweight Championship right now. Like, just with all these possibilities of where they're going with this story at Mania, it just debunks a lot of the scenarios you can go with Jey Uso like winning. So he doesn't need it.
I would put the chances of him winning the title almost at 0. Yeah. Like, it's not gonna happen.
He is a great.
I'm not saying that to discredit. It just his storyline doesn't make sense, and like I said, I'm almost considering that because he's not losing Gunther's not losing the belt anytime before Mania, and I'm starting to almost lean on, depending what his match is, that he's gonna hold it after that.
Yeah.
Jay, though, I was gonna say, like, he's great at like merchandising himself though. Like he's got the catchphrase everybody loves. He's got the hand motion everybody loves. Like he sells merch out the ass. Like he's got a new shirt like every week. He's got a new shirt every city they go. Every kid's got a pair of the sunglasses. That's like that line on Raw that I thought was like really dope when Gunther like called him. He's like you're just like the company's mascot. He's like, you're fun, you come out here, you bring a lot of energy, people love you. He's like, but I'm the serious main event talent. Like, I'm the actual main event, you're just a mascot. And Jay was like, you're right, I am a mascot. He's like, these people are my team. I was like, that was a pretty cool line. Just like the crowd. Because it kind of is that, though, you know? Like, the crowd, he's like the most over.
He's like the most probably, like next to Cody, I guess, in a lot of ways, but even more organically, Jey Uso is like the most pure baby face.
Yeah,
they have.
He's over.
You know what I mean?
And
that happened organically. Like Cody, they're like, all right, we're gonna elevate him, of course, the main event. It was kind of like they knew what they were doing, but him getting that over was not. They probably didn't see that coming.
I don't think they seen it coming, and to this day, Jey Uso will always say in his promos he believed on himself with that to split away from his brother and the whole bloodline story to become a singles talent, which a lot of people didn't think he was able to do. So for him to go out there and do it, win a championship without the bloodline being around, he's way over right now.
Is that what you said to me the other day? You're like, you're like, I don't think they're getting back together. You're like, Jimmy's fucked.
I love Jimmy, but they're so when I was watching SmackDown, Jimmy basically had a match. He cut like a beautiful promo, and it was a beautiful promo. He went out there. I think he went against Carmelo Hayes, and they put on a hell of a match. And I seen like a lot of people kind of like discrediting the Jey Uso and Jimmy match at Mania, and it was a lot of super kicks that they did throw. People did not like that. People thought they were seeing a Young Bucks match, and I was just like, just let the match play out. It was good, and with honestly that whole story with Jimmy and Jay, they're on their own. They can be much more successful. Jay's the much over, but Jimmy can be at the same level if they push Jimmy right on his own. You can somehow make them all single stars instead of one needs the other to be successful.
Yeah, they kind of Jay's proven that at this point. They just haven't they haven't given Jimmy shit to let him prove that. It's like Jay's gotten all the stuff, and Jimmy, they're like, hey, fuck off in the corner, man. Like even the WrestleMania match. Bro, you could have given Jimmy that win. Why the fuck did Jay need to win that match?
Because Jay would have still been over. That's the difference. Jay would have still been over even if he had lost that match.
And
so why wouldn't you give it to Jimmy?
I honestly thought Jimmy was due for that win.
Yeah,
I think if I was booking it, that's what I would have made happen for sure.
Jimmy was the one that needed that match the most.
And then that's the thing. If they ever want to or need to for any reason revisit it, Jay never got his win. So then he gets, it's a reason to have it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not just in a Mania, but whenever. So it's like Jay, that would have at least made Jimmy feel like, all right, got that on you, you know? Bro, and it's just like that now, but you were kind of right. It's like he doesn't have shit. It's like I don't know. Not that I'm not saying he's good, but how are you gonna not give him opportunities like that? That's what I don't understand.
I think he should get an opportunity, but it's just with the card and everything's shaping up. How do you fit Jimmy Uso into all that on SmackDown? And he still got the Roman story, which is the bigger, important part of the story. So it's like having Roman and this story of him getting the Ula follow back, and you got Solo story. How do you somehow, some way put Jimmy into that to create him into this star? He's already a star, but he's not getting that much time to even shine. Honestly,
I personally thought that they should have given them 4 or 5 more minutes at WrestleMania. I think it was like an 11-minute match, and I think it could have been 15 or 16 minutes, and it would have been just more developed because it almost felt like rushed what we had, and then it was like over.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck was that? It felt like I didn't like hate the match by any means, but it felt like with the story and like the brothers finally clashing, we should have gotten like a full out, fucking just athletic display of storytelling.
Yeah, I was
You know what I mean?
hoping for, because I mean, all the brother versus brother matches like before were sick at Mania. You know, this was gonna be like the next chapter of that. It
Except
was like,
Jeff
oh,
should have
hell
beaten
yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, yeah, that one wasn't as good as the Hearts, but
No.
it was still like that was better than the Usos.
Every 15 years it happens. Yeah, because then Hart and we figured that out I think last year.
Yeah, I seen that like every 15 years, like a brother versus brother match will happen.
They have given Jimmy a shot. Like you are right though about giving him a shot.
Yeah,
He's just Jeff Hardy'd a few times, so I kind of held him back.
Yeah, that's kind of like the little thing, but I mean, I think he's fairly well short for the moment, especially with Jay. I think he's well for certain getting another title eventually. And Solo, I always will say this: Solo's definitely due for a belt. You can't tell me when, I can't tell you where, but he will definitely have a title, probably in 2025. I think he will.
Do you think it'd be a step down after he feuded with Roman though to go for like a mid card title, or do you think it has to be a world title?
I don't even think it needs a world title. I think honestly, just Solo getting just a title in a studded roster like that, I think it's well certain enough to woo people over that Solo's. This is the same guy that went out there and Samoan spiked John Cena multiple times, and they did nothing with that story. But I feel like
That pissed me off.
I feel like Solo's definitely the one that the heel heat that he's getting, he can get over. Look at Dominic Mysterio. The amount of heel heat that he gets.
Dom doesn't even. That's the thing though. Now, he does not have to try at all.
He doesn't have to try.
Hey,
He just comes out and like crowds are excited to boo him. That's
calling it now. I told you this. Dom's gonna be the Money in the Bank winner. Lock it down. Place your fucking bet on that.
I can see that.
I can see it.
Gonna happen.
This feels like it could be a big year for him.
And that would give him to kind of re-energize. I mean, not that he needs it. The crowd gives him a reaction regardless, but it would be another element to add to his, character and everything else. Like, oh, I've got this. Just, fucking with everybody and just, you know what I mean? Like, and he's gonna be that nuisance. Whether or not it plays out and he actually wins like a world title or even whatever, we'll see. But I remember you complaining about the Solo thing attacking John Cena. Though you're like Solo kicked his ass.
I was like, what is the need for this? Like, John Cena's a fucking legend, and you guys book him to come get assaulted by Solo, and then he disappears for like months. I'm like, this was overkill, bro. I'm pissed. My childhood just died in the ring, and now you're not doing anything with Solo for it. So what was the point?
Same thing with it was another weird booking decision that they did, and honestly, I think this is probably the worst one. You had Theory go out there and beat John Cena in front of the Make-A-Wish kids, which was like, what the hell are we doing here?
He should not have.
He should not have lost in front of Make-A-Wish kids.
I really we thought maybe he would go on another run though.
I was hoping, he'd hold. I'm like, he doesn't even have to be here full time. He can come defend it a couple times and drop it at like SummerSlam or something.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'd just be a fun little thing. But nope. Theory goes over.
Yeah.
They do nothing with Theory.
Nothing with
that was a short match too. It was like, what the hell? Like,
I think that started the show.
It did.
It did.
Started Mania. It was like Mania Night 1 opener.
John had to go home. It's like, oh fuck.
And with that, Solo didn't benefit from it either. It was just
no.
People were just beating Cena and not benefiting from it, which is I didn't understand why I put certain people in that spot if it wasn't gonna do nothing with the story.
It's probably just Cena, hey, I want to come back and do something. And they're
See, my personal thing, I think that more towards the end of his full-time run, he should have been putting more people over. Now, before you you know, oh fuck, like I don't mean like getting assassinated like this. I think he should have put more people over on even some of those manias, whatever. In his later years, he should have been winning way more matches than he has.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think the later you get, like the struggle begins to settle in, even story wise. Because I think Cena, if he really wanted to, could still work his ass off and keep up with the best of them. For at least for the most part. Maybe now he is getting a lot older. He's like 47 or something. But for a long time, I was like, he can still, you know, stay caught up if he wanted to. And but you know, he's getting up there. But I'm like, I really thought that like towards the last several years, maybe the last 5 years, he was full time. I thought maybe he should have been putting more people over than he was. That's just me personally, it's my opinion.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, there's no way I would have booked him to lose every single like singles match he's had for fucking years now. That is overkill.
It's like, how do you elevate Cena to this retirement? We seen WWE do retirement tours, and the first thing that you bring up in your head when you think of retirement tours, you think of Kurt Angle's. We all knew how that played out for Kurt Angle, and we thought, I think 90% of people thought that we were going to get Cena versus Kurt.
Yeah.
And we got Baron Corbin.
But Vince was also like still running a lot of stuff at that point, you know.
Yeah.
So
That
like,
was a great Mania though. But that was dog shit. That's Kurt's last match, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And I feel like Triple H too will like take a decent amount of like liberties and like kind of give Cena what he wants to do this year, because like he worked with them a lot, they know each other, so like he'll probably try to make it pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But I also hope that Triple H talks him into winning some stuff, because if Cena's probably just gonna be like, oh fuck it, just let me lose everything. It's like, no man.
Last one, I think honestly he gets that 17. I know Charlotte is due for it, but I feel like Cena I think he's due for that 17. Honestly.
It would have to be that, you know,
he's the golden boy. He's the project.
Do you think it's Cody's or do you think it's the one Gunther has? It would elevate that title for him to hold one, but it would be cool to have him have like the title one more time.
Honestly, fan in me, I would love to see how they book Cena versus Cody. I would love how they book that. But I just feel like this whole debacle with if Cody's fighting Rock or going against Roman, it's like the fan in me wants that, because that would be gold on any goddamn pay-per-view. That would be the match right there. That's gold. But how would you somehow inline all of that, and Cena hasn't had an interaction with Cody? So I just honestly think Cena goes against Gunther, because I think that's the only villain Cena can possibly take out, which is the biggest villain is Gunther right now.
There's a lot of ways you can book it, because then you got Roman, Cody, potentially Rock, Punk. You gotta analyze. You gotta like manipulate all those aspects. Yeah.
It's a lot of.
And somebody's getting left out because that's too many guys for everybody to go on last. Like unless we got, you know. But then we'd be back in another issue, because even if we got one of those matches being a triple threat, I would definitely say it would be the one with Gunther over Cody. Mm-hmm. Cody's probably just gonna get, you know, somebody.
Well, then you got guys too like Sammy and Seth and LA Knight and Jay and dudes like that are like the workhorses that the crowd loves, where you're like, they're gonna have to do something important at Mania probably.
They'll probably have like some personal kind of feuds or whatever.
I think Sammy and Seth could face each other. They're kind of like bumping heads a little bit, and that could be a fire match probably. So like
he'll probably get something like that. Seth always gets a good match, a quality match, even if he's not in like a main event spot.
Yeah, and Sammy's like been cutting those promos too, where he's like, I'm up there, the upper echelon with like everybody else in this business. Like the main event, I'm just as good as all of them. He's like, I feel like I've proven it to this point, but he just hasn't won a world title. So he's kind of like selling his story for trying to win the Rumble too. So he'll probably get heartbroken, and then he'll go to Chamber. There's like so many ways.
It's so many ways you can book that. Honestly, like I told you at work, Tim, Sammy's gonna be the Iron Man in that Rumble. I'm calling it now.
This-
I think he's the Iron Man.
This year and like last year, like I don't remember
He's that kind of wrestler, like that kind of guy.
I don't remember a time where like the plot was so like thickened and like interesting before like last year's build to it. Like then we had seen it in a while. You know what I mean? Like it had been a long time. But like every aspect of it is as we get closer and closer to Rumble gets just super interesting because we're like, how the hell are they gonna set this card up? Because I mean, we could be looking at a phenomenal WrestleMania card. Like if all those guys are on there and you know Punk gets his main event. I really think that's the route though. I would much rather see Punk win the Rumble and like if Cena or somebody like that wins, like maybe the Chamber or something, I could, you know what I mean? But Cena could get there another way. Punk, like that's an accolade he's never had, and he doesn't have too many chances left to have it. You know. So he's my pick. It's probably Charlotte and Punk.
Yeah,
100%.
Charlotte Punk, or I gotta put this exception in. It just gotta be EO. I love EO. I love the work that EO does. I think EO's definitely due for that Mania match. But if you do let Charlotte win, we already know who Charlotte's going after. I've been saying it for months. Tiffany Stratton.
And you think, I was gonna say, and you gotta think like this isn't gonna be a long term plan. Like she'll have the belt, but she's dropping Mania, and that would be a natural. It'd be like the battle of the bombshell blondes.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd honestly be good. Like in Charlotte, me and you have talked about this too. I'm like, you know, she is doing nothing less than being in one of the main women's title matches.
Yeah.
Or they could do Charlotte and Rhea 3.
Do that's an interesting one. They could do that. They can run in so many routes with Charlotte winning.
They need a tiebreaker.
I think Charlotte will come back as a face though because she's been gone a while and that's why it's natural to see her face Tiffany.
Well, Tiffany, everybody loves now too. She's kind of a face because she cashed in on Nia.
Yeah.
She'll still be threatened that Charlotte's coming back to stake her claim though.
Yeah, and then especially with them kind of moving Bailey off of SmackDown, they're definitely in need of a face. So I think Charlotte is that face.
I still feel like though the crowd is gonna cheer Tiffany.
Probably. Charlotte will get cheered because she's been her comeback's been awaited for a while. I think though.
Yeah.
I mean Tiffany
I
will
like
get
Charlotte
cheered
a lot,
regardless, but I think that she won't. I don't think people will be resentful of it whatsoever.
No.
I think people will be like happy that she's returned.
I think people will most definitely be happy that Charlotte is back.
I think she's come back and taken it back.
I think she's kind of like
she's gonna add number 15, I believe, to her fucking resume.
I thought you were predicting the number she was gonna come out.
No, she'll be well. That would be crazy, but like, yeah, it'll be that's fucking insane. But yeah, it would be her 15th belt. The other thing that we didn't even think about the other day that I saw, and I was like, that's another guy that could be elevated to one of the main events, though. If it's not any of those factors, or if, like, say Rock wasn't involved, or if Rock was involved and it was Roman and Rock, another guy that could face Cody is Randy Orton.
I've been thinking about that, too, because Randy has not been seen in a while since KO, took him out, and we have not seen Randy since.
That's a natural match to happen in Mania, too.
And everybody's definitely banking on seeing Randy at Rumble.
Damn, dude, this is...
Which, honestly, you can go with Randy being in the Rumble, or you can go with him just helping Cody win that match, or you can go with an either crazier route, which how I would book it is he helped Cody out and then he RKO's.
Yeah, that's exactly what I imagine whenever you just kind of lay in the groundwork.
That's how you run that story, and now we get to how do we get this story over to Mania with Chamber and everything like that? How do you get that story to play out at WrestleMania?
Well, that match I feel like it's going to be a bit of a cluster too. The ladder match with Cody and KO, because KO's already like trying to proposition Sammy and stuff.
Yeah, I seen that on Raw. He went out there. He talked to Sammy. You're gonna help me win, and we can have our WrestleMania moment that we always wanted. So it's like he's kind of like manipulating him to like help him win. But now my question is, are we really gonna see Sammy actually go out there and help?
I know. I don't. It could be KO and Sammy at Mania.
That's what I told E. That's what I told E the other day. I was like, man, this is something that could definitely
and that could be a
happen.
fire match.
And
too.
they've had a lot of feuds and they've had a lot of one-on-one matches and shit, but They've never wrestled at Mania, and I'm like, you know it's gonna happen.
They won the belts together at Mania, and they could face at Mania.
He's
Maybe
definitely
not for a belt, but-
going to face. It's gonna be Sammy and KO, or it's gonna be Sammy and Seth. I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Like KO, maybe him and Gunther are like my favorites on the mic right now. They're just like they're like so undermining and kind of prickish, but they're also funny and like manipulative and stuff. Like KO just like telling Sammy, he's like, you know, because Sammy thought he came out to like beat him down because he teamed with Roman, and he's like, no, it's not like that. He's like, with Cody it's different. He's like, with you, he's like, you and Roman got history. He's like, I realize, you know, you're just a good guy. He's like, me and you, we fought many a times and we made up. You're just a good guy. He's like, that's why I know you're gonna have my back at the Royal Rumble.
Because when I heard the music hit, I'm like, oh god, took Sammy. And then they went out. He went out there with the WWF title and was like, he's like, we can fight each other for this right here at WrestleMania, and basically manipulated him to help him win. So I honestly think, do Sammy turn heel? That would be an interesting direction that you go with Sammy turning heel, but it can go in many factors, because I think that's definitely a match I would want to see at me. That's 100% the match I want to see.
And then he's just like, oh, like I could see him doing that. Be like, why would you do that? I thought we tried. I thought I trusted you and stuff. And it mean like just being like, you don't deserve like to win the world title. You know what I mean, kind of thing. Like him going like just a nasty kind of angle about it, and being like, you know, like he's gonna strip him of his success if he can't have. You know what I mean? Like if he can't win the Rumble, or if he can't. I guess that would be before then, though.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of ways. Shit gets so interesting.
They could do that match though before the men's. I feel like the men's Rumble will probably be the main event.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
So KO could get beat and then come out and like screw Sammy in the Rumble, and you know, like, that could be interesting. Yeah, I don't know though, like. Because, I don't know what you do with Seth either. Like, I feel like Seth has to have a pretty important piece, or at least a good match at Mania, too. So, like, him and Kevin are kind of two of the pieces where I'm like, I feel like they could have show-stealing matches at Mania even. I just don't know where they'll be on the card or what they'll be doing.
Yeah, like...
Logan Paul, too. I'm sure he'll be back doing something.
What is Drew going to do?
I think Logan actually has I think he has his re-debut match actually next week, so on Raw. So that's going to be interesting. So they're putting him out there now, which he probably going to be in the Rumble. So it's like a lot of ways you can go with this story, especially with Rumble surprises. I definitely think I told you this earlier. Who my number one Rumble surprise is off the top of my dome. Joe Hendry's going to be in that Rumble. You can't tell.
He just won the belt from Nick Nemeth.
He teased it and everything. He said Cena posted TNA, and he never posted anything about TNA. So he's definitely teasing that he's going to be at the Rumble, which honestly, he does have an event in that timeline of Rumble. And he posted about it on Twitter, I seen. So I was just like, he's going to be in the Rumble. You can't tell me that. Jordan Grace definitely going to be back in that Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Her contract is, I think, coming up soon. Which honestly, I think she signs with WWE. I think she's most definitely WWE bound. So I think she signs. And especially with the partnership and crossover that they got with TNA, we could possibly see TNA people being surprises in that Rumble. To just fill out that Rumble, which is already a star-studded Rumble as it is.
Yeah. It does. It feels big. Like this road to WrestleMania, it's it. You know, I think it also it started to feel this big because of how rich the Bloodline storyline was, and then how, you know, Cody's pursuit of the belt just never ended, and people were like, oh, right, well, you know, and then he got back there and actually won it. It was like, damn, that was like a hit reset, first time in a long time, like he dropped those belts. It's crazy that this much time has passed since he held them, because he held them for so fucking long.
And now it feels like Cody's been champion for a good while, you know? Like, it feels like Roman hasn't had the belts for a minute.
Yeah.
He looked bare the first time he came out without them.
Oh, yeah.
He title or he somehow gets another tribe to control. But I think he definitely gets some type of control back and back to his normal. So will he go after Cody? I don't know. I don't think a lot of people will want to see that match happen again since they ran it back a good 2 times already. So I think it's just crazy to book it again. But he definitely gets back into some type of control with power. There's no way he doesn't get his power back. He got the Uwafaba back. That's the one thing he needed. So no telling what the plans go out with Roman, especially in the Rumble. No telling what happens. But I think him and Punk will definitely come face to face, especially with Punk helping him at Survivor Series with the new bloodline. I think they definitely tell a story there in the Rumble with that.
Yeah. The Rock could just come back, and Rock and Roman could just run roughshod on the fucking roster for the whole year, just as a tandem. Just go crazy. It's just like they just show up randomly. They just become oh fuck, they're here. They just come into the crowd.
The Rock's the High Chief.
Yeah.
Yep.
The High Chief and the Tribal Chief. That's the thing. You could have them guys be a duo, or you could have them be rivals.
We're running out of track though on this runaway for them to have their.
They have
match.
it, yeah. They have
It's got to be like this year, next year. Like I don't know if you can. I don't know. It's all up to how the Rock feels, but working a 1-on-1 and going like 20 minutes at least, 25 minutes.
I could see the triple threat with Cody for the belt with Rock and Roman. They screw each other. Cody holds onto the belt or something.
Next year, Rock Roman.
And I mean, it's the first 2-night SummerSlam. Maybe they do it at SummerSlam, and then maybe they do it again at Mania next year or something, and then Rock retires.
I don't know. But the thing is like, there's a reason they did after Mania last year, where the Rock came out with the belt that he had on, and they did that little thing, and Rock's like, oh, I'm gonna have to go away for a while. Everybody knows. And stuff, and like that was definitely put in there for a reason. And then he came out at SummerSlam after, or no, it wasn't. Well, yeah, no, it wasn't SummerSlam. That was when Roman came back. When did he come out after Cody and Roman teamed? When was that? Because he came out after that. Remember, he came out and like nodded after they were
I think that was
kind of standing side by side in unison. He was like, like kind of like he was thinking about it.
I think that was Bad Blood. I think it was where
yeah, I think it was.
Match. I think it was Bad Blood. He came out, he did what he did, and then just disappeared.
Because people were pissed because they're like,
Not
that's the reason that Punk and Drew didn't main event with Hell in a Cell, is because Rock had to come out and stare at Roman and Cody for 5 seconds.
No, I don't think that was why either. I just think that
I just saw that online.
I just think that was supposed to be the main event. It's
the
feud
Roman
of the year.
Cody.
The feud of the year was easily Punk and Drew.
Yeah.
Probably in all of wrestling.
That Hell in a Cell match was probably, to me, it was match of the year.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
Last year for WWE.
Meltzer trying to look like he fucking isn't a Punk hater by finally giving them like a 5-star match.
Yeah, I see
that and fucking Drew.
That was definitely up there with match of the year, and my easy exception because I was there, which this is when AEW before they fell off a cliff.
You went to.
We'll have to say Bryan and Ospreay.
Yeah.
I was there live. That arena was electric. I can literally feel goosebumps just off of that match that they put on at Dynasty. It was a beautiful match.
It was a great match. That card was awesome. That's the thing though about AEW. Like the few events that I've went to of theirs, it's like there are a lot of awesome matches on the card. You have a great time, you're having a blast, but like the show is so damn long that by the time you get to the main event, you're done. You're kind of tired out. I'm like, bro, I've been here 4.5 hours. Like, I've been sitting in the seat watching wrestling 4.5 hours, and now we're rolling out the main event.
Like, I remember I went to a Dynamite, and before Dynamite, it was a Ring of Honor. Like, it was Ring of Honor after that, and then I sat through Ring of Honor. Then I had to sit through Dynamite, and it was another show after that, and I was just like, this is going on too long. And it's like I'm getting to watch stuff way ahead of time, which honestly, they need to get rid of something. It's too much. You got
Collision,
Dynamite, you got Collision, you got Rampage. You got to get rid of something for any of this to make
And they had
sense.
Elevation and Dark for a while.
Elevation,
Like...
Dark. They got rid of those two. You got to get rid of something else. You got Collision over there on HBO Max now. I think you keep it.
You're way too young as a company, anyways, to be having this many shows.
Oh yeah, I said the same thing.
Shows and titles.
I snickered earlier about just whenever the other day when we were like SmackDown being 3 hours. That was shitty.
Oh, don't get me started. SmackDown 3 hours, please. Triple H. I don't know if you ever hear this. I don't know if I gotta make a video talking about this. Can we please make SmackDown 3 hours meaningful? Because right now it's not meaningful for me. It's like I'm watching a bunch of filler matches when I'm in the second hour, and then you stretch it with commercials, one filler match, and then I get to the main event, which the main event you care for more, but you gotta sit through a whole nother hour of this. And 9 times out of 10, these shows that they have been putting on that's 3 hours, there's no Roman. So I don't even care at this point for 3 hours. So like I'm just like irritated and annoyed. But what they're doing on Netflix now, I think this week episode went off at like 9:30.
Yeah, they're ending at like whatever time.
Yeah,
they like that the show just happens to end.
And I feel like if you want to end a show off at 9:30, it has to be SmackDown. I can't sit through 3 hours on SmackDown. I can't. I love 3 hours of Raw. It's on Netflix. It feels different and everything with the vibe and everything that they're putting out. But with SmackDown, it's just missing something. I don't know if it's Roman or something.
Because they pulled a lot of talent. Raw just feels like it's like the hot thing. Right now.
And SmackDown just feels not only just like they didn't change anything, but it was like stretched out more. It's like what you said.
It's just overly like stretched out, which honestly, I love much more professional wrestling than anybody. But 3 hours each show, that's a lot of goddamn wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Just Raw alone is 3 hours. You got NXT, that's 2 hours. Hell, if you watch AEW, that's another 3 hours. 2 hours, I say 2 hours.
5 if you watch all freaking 3 of their shows.
And you watch all their shows, that adds up. And then you gotta think, you got Fridays, that's 3 hours now. And then the pay-per-view, which is Saturday, how long is that? It's just too much wrestling at that point. And some people can only consume so much until they start forgetting about so much stuff going on because everything gets so long and it's stretched out.
Yeah. Plus, there's nowadays, like, I've said it before, like, as a teenager and stuff, whenever it was just like high school and then I was just chilling with friends and watching wrestling and stuff like that, like, I would have loved having this much wrestling on TV. But like now, like, there's no way I can keep up with all this shit, man.
Right.
You got 2 companies like full throttle putting shows out there. You almost have to pick a company that you're gonna want to watch more of and just
a show.
Just a show.
Because like if I was to watch AEW anything, I'd probably watch Dynamite. But you know, I think I did. But a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or 2 ago, I was kind of checking it out. But I still see all this stuff on social media. Did you see anything about the rated R superstar Cope?
Rated R Cope. What is your thoughts about that when you hear that? Rated R Cope.
I mean, they're trying, I guess.
Yeah, but what the hell is Cope?
Copeland, man.
It sounded better when it was just Adam Copeland.
Adam Copeland, I was fine with. I was getting used to it, and then I see Rated R Copeland. I was like,
I saw that. I was like, why? Cope. Like,
I get they're trying to play on the 4-letter thing, you know?
Just calling him his name actually kind of felt, you're like, okay, well, that is his name.
So
you're not gonna, I can't hate it. But
that's AEW, man. What can you do? They got the talent, they just don't have the ideas.
They say they were.
How else, with so much talent, do you fucking not feel like they're putting 2250 people in like a 10,000 person arena?
They say they're the best that wrestle there, which
The best.
I don't see it that much. Beg to differ. I see a lot of things with AEW that they have a lot of problems and they definitely got to figure it out. Or a lot of those men and women in that company will go over to WWE, and I see it happening. It's a lot of people I see that are Triple H guys, and they went over to AEW, and you can't tell me they're not thinking about going back to WWE. Like Malachi Black,
He's going.
which a report came out that he was done with AEW, and he's most certainly probably going to go back to WWE.
And
Where
be
else would he
Alistair.
I think you might as well just, if Cody kept his same presentation from leaving AEW, Jade Cargill kept hers, I think we probably see Malachi. And
As long as Tony didn't copyright it.
yeah, as long as Tony didn't
Or-
copyright it,
Mhm.
and that's actually Malachi's like infringe on it, I think we definitely see it.
It could be cool. Like, I think it would be really neat if they established the House of Black in like WWE. That could be sick. Because that was like one of the coolest things of AEW, but it also felt like they didn't really know how to, like, what to do
Execute
with it.
Well, they formed it and then they went branded. They're
Like the
they tried to
entrance
figure
was
out.
sick as hell,
Yeah.
and then they didn't know what to do with them after that.
When I was watching AEW at the time, that was the group I was much more interested in, was the House of Black. I was much more interested into it, and I see that Black is leaving. What do you kind of do with them? And I think something that Ospreay was talking to them, and Ospreay was talking to Buddy, and basically saying they can be a team or something. Which honestly, that's not a bad team to pair with Ospreay. But it's gonna feel like a void is missing with Black being not in that group.
Yeah, they're not really the House of Black anymore. They got to be something else.
Yeah.
Which, and honestly, should they even what's the point of portraying those same dark evil characters if the leader of the group's not there anymore? You could just brand them into something else.
Yeah. And I think Matthews is still gonna be there with his contract, but I honestly wish that he would have, went with Black too, and they could have probably did that in WWE.
So, I mean, why wouldn't he? That doesn't make
He might
sense
end
to
up
me
back
though.
there at some point.
It's like
Buddy is-
Rhea's there.
Absolutely fucking shredded, dude.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the most underrated talent in my opinion in professional wrestling right now is Buddy Matthews, because the amount of matches that he had put on, even though during certain timelines he wasn't getting the matches, but one of his matches where he had with Roman, I think it was during the pandemic era, and that was a good match. So I feel like Buddy is definitely due to probably come back to WWE at some point.
Yeah, he was always underutilized in WWE though. It's he was ridiculously shredded, but yeah, he was kind of stuck in the cruiserweights, the 205 Live and all that stuff when that was around. And the thing is, there were some great matches on there. Nobody gave a fuck.
No.
That damn Enzo ruined it. That's what happened. The damn Enzo ruined it.
Enzo came there and got the belt.
He came in, got the belt, and then 205 Live just fell off this planet of the earth. It was just bad. I was into it, and then Enzo won the belt, and it was just okay.
Enzo was a little unhinged.
Yeah, they made him. He had a lot of locker room problems.
Yeah. I was at I went to go see our buddy in California when he lived out there at the time, and we went to a Survivor Series in 2018 when it was at the Staples Center. And Enzo was in the section in front of
I
us.
seen that.
He walked out and he sat in a seat on the floor, and we're I'm pretty sure that's Enzo. And then a few minutes later he got closer to the ring area during the tag team title match, and he stood up on a chair and started making a scene towards the cam side, and security came down and grabbed him and drug him out of there. And it wasn't planned because they didn't mention it at all on the show.
Mhm.
He never was back again. It was his own stunt. Like he paid for a ticket and came there and did that shit. And people like in the crowd were like when they're like dragging him out there, they're like, "Let him stay, let him stay." Good times. That's honestly, he wasn't even wrestling. That's like one of my favorite Enzo moments.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that just kind of got blackballed after a few too many.
He was great on
things
the
were
mic.
said of him.
Yeah,
He was,
He was
yeah.
great on the mic.
Before the Hardys came out at WrestleMania 33, I thought they were gonna win that ladder match, and then I was really happy the Hardys came out and won it. You know?
Mhm.
Probably one of the best moments of all time when the Hardys came.
That was one of the biggest pops. That was like one of the absolute biggest pops of the 2010s, no doubt. Like maybe the three biggest. I can't think of that many things that were bigger. Pop was huge at WrestleMania.
Everybody thought the New Day was gonna enter that match, and here comes.
Because they came out in their ring gear and everything.
They came out
Yeah.
with the ring gear, and then I think like a report came out that I think the Hardys were like done with the event. I think they faced the Bucks or something.
They lost to the Bucks the night
Yeah.
before, dropped them conveniently before they came to WrestleMania, and then
Yeah.
won tag team belts.
And then all the circulation came on with the Hardys coming back, and everybody was highly anticipated of that, and it happened, and that was the best moment right there.
Within 24
Yeah, that was
hours,
cool.
held the ROH World Tag Team titles and the WWE.
Which honestly, I think they might come back and do it, with the
TNA thing, yeah.
So I think they definitely come back over. Probably, I don't know. I seen they said something about going to NXT and winning titles. So they're probably gonna run back that storyline of them, going after gold again. So
Damn. They had the belts at TNA, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because we were talking about that with Nick Nemeth. He was the world champ.
I hope I see him back. I really hope I see him back in the Rumble. He does got that record being in the most Rumbles, so I hope I see him back. Honestly, at some
Yeah.
point.
Did
I could see that too.
did JBL clothesline Nick? Who did he clothesline?
He clotheslined somebody. I don't know, but I remember seeing him clotheslining somebody.
Yeah.
And
And
I don't remember if it was Nick or somebody else.
Did you think Booker T is gonna be in the Rumble this year? He was back. He wrestled in NXT a few weeks ago, didn't he? Or a while back.
he was like 59. Yeah, he's 59.
I saw him
I
like
think
in
he
his
said.
gear and
Yeah,
stuff.
I did too.
Booker T's man. I honestly, the amount of times I watch NXT, Booker T is the highlight of that show. His commentary on NXT is just amazing. I love Booker T commentary. It's amazing. I see they got Corey Graves back there. A lot of stuff came out about Corey kind of like frustrated and stuff, but I think that 3-man commentary for NXT is going to be nice. It's going to be beautiful. And if I see Booker in a match again, I wouldn't mind it. It's the Rumble. Let legends in there, surprises that we don't think is going to be there. Just let them in. I mean, honestly, the Rumble is due for surprises. Just give us what we want, surprises.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be sick. I remember when he came back, I think it was maybe 2011 Rumble.
Mm.
When he returned, and I was hype. I was like, oh fuck yeah, dude, Booker T's back, because I thought he was coming back to wrestle. And then he the next week on SmackDown, they're like, our new announcer, Booker T. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What do you mean? He still looks like he could go. Why the fuck is he on the announce table?
Yeah.
But he ended up being pretty funny as an announcer.
What happened with Corey Graves?
I guess Corey Graves is kind of frustrated with his role, and Michael Cole wound up going over to Raw. He was on SmackDown. He wound up going over to Raw, and Pat McAfee's over there on Raw too as well. And it's the other guy. I can't remember his name.
Joe Tessitore. Yeah.
He wound up moving from Raw over to SmackDown, and it's him and Wade for SmackDown. Which honestly, I don't mind the guy's work. He's good at what he does, but
I don't mind Joe Tessitore.
I honestly think Corey should have, at least had a seat at that table. But they did sign that person with a lot of money and stuff like that, so it kind of put Corey on the back burner. And Corey's on NXT, but you can tell he's kind of frustrated, but he'd probably make the best out of that situation.
Oh, so you think he does want to do SmackDown?
I think he probably wanted to have like some bigger role other than NXT.
Yeah.
So with him being in NXT, I think he's probably the number one guy on that team, but I don't think he wanted that.
It is kind of like it shouldn't, but it kind of feels like a demotion after you've been like a Raw or SmackDown announcer.
Yeah.
It'll feel like a demotion basically to go back to NXT when you're on the main roster.
But I mean, I've heard reports too that Corey has been cleared to wrestle, and he could come back and wrestle.
Yeah, I had heard that too.
So maybe some point he fucking gets in a rivalry down there in NXT. It was all meant to happen.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Hey, maybe that's fucking part of it.
Yeah.
That could work. When Corey Graves was wrestling, he was one of those guys I used to love watching around the time period when NXT was like fairly new. They rebranded and everything. He was like one of the guys I was actually in, and then he wound up getting hurt and wound up repositioning to a commentator, which he's good at that too. But him kind of getting demoted, but I don't really see it as a demotion. I feel like he could take that brand over with just off his skills alone, but it is probably his point of view frustrating that he got kind of demoted. But
he could become like the official voice of NXT though, because they don't really have that announcer.
They don't have that. It's Booker T, him, and I think it's like another guy.
Who's the dude that used to Mauro Ranallo or something?
That was
JBL bullied the fuck out of him. Apparently.
I loved Mauro Ronaldo when he was there, and then all the reports came out about JBL bullying him. And
So JBL bullied like half of the damn roster, it feels
of like 3 different eras.
Yeah. He just kept. I feel like JBL too is like, he's not really. Like, he's kind of an asshole, but not like a legit asshole. He's just like always fucking around. You know what I mean? To where you're like, he can come off as a real prick or really, really drive on your last nerve, but he's not like a true son of a bitch. He's just like always starting shit. You know what I mean?
He's always poking somebody. Like, he's always got to have.
Because I've heard him on podcasts, like just tear it into like Byron Saxton and freaking Pete Rosenberg and stuff, just like lighting them up and shit. Like, this just feels like it's him all the time, and it's got him in trouble, like, multiple times.
Yeah. Jesus.
Him and Ron Simmons, though, I bet you they were, like, a great time back
in the
day when they were just, like, going to the bars. And
oh, yeah. They would beat the hell out of some people, man. Like,
see, I didn't. That might not be a great time, but, like, having a beer with them
if
at the bar.
If you came with them, you'd have some protection. You know, you'd have the APA having your back.
That was a good old.
That was a badass team. They would just come out and clothesline the fuck out of people.
They would have like bar fights and stuff.
They were in the Ministry of Darkness for a minute.
See, that's what I mean. How the fuck does that make sense putting the APA in there?
That was kind of cool though.
But like some members, it's like, how the fuck are they fit?
Viscera, Midian, they make sense though. Paul Bear.
Viscera's like eyes were always kind of freaky and shit.
Oh yeah. The world's largest love machine. Viscera.
Bro. No.
That year whenever like fucking Charlie Haas and Viscera are like fighting over Lillian Garcia, that was weird. It like took a weird turn. It was like 2006.
What video game was it on where like you could just have Viscera pelvic thrust just hump the hell out of
it was
people?
one of those SmackDown versus Raw. It was like, probably like 07.
Oh, I think it was 07. I
Yeah,
think.
I it was.
He had that crazy finisher move. And I was like, man.
Oh yeah.
He's like grabs body arms. What the hell is this big man?
He was in like he was wrestling in pajamas basically at the time.
Those purple pajamas.
It didn't have like the little replay motion to it, and when he did the move on you, I was just like, oh, this is crazy.
Viscera was the best in the Ministry. Like in '99, he looked fucking dark and evil as shit. It was cool. Like it was like that stable was badass, but it didn't last that long. It only really lasted inside of like a year. Like it wasn't too long.
people got pissed. They were satanic and stuff. They were out there hanging Big Boss Man and shit.
We talked about that. Yeah, I don't know how that didn't fuck him up either. It's like they had some way of doing it without it actually like choking him. But
Oh no, they choked the fuck out of him.
Well,
there's no way they couldn't have. They noosed him, and his arms were down. He wasn't holding the rope. He was like,
yeah, but there's some way they took to prevent that from fucking.
Yeah, they just held him up there for like 10 seconds, and then they cut the lights
That
out.
was wild though, because like they did that at like WrestleMania.
I remember like
That was fucking crazy.
I was just like
Dude,
watching,
99 is awesome.
I was just watching something random at that time. I was on TV and I seen that. I just wanted to just glancing over and I seen Big Boss Man getting hung. I was like, how the hell did they get away with this? How the hell did they get away with this? This is on a WrestleMania reminder.
That wasn't even on the Hell in a Cell DVD, and every other bullshit to great Hell in a Cell matches on there, just not that one. It was like the only one left off of it. Which I really don't know why, because like you didn't have to show like the ending. You could have put the match on there, but
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they're just like, that didn't happen. They really tried to sweep that one under the
that
rug.
didn't happen.
They really did. Oh my God, Boss Man! It's like,
He's hanging. He's hanging. He strung him up by the cage.
That was so fucked.
Yeah.
You guys want to take a break? Come back in with the good, the bad, and the shits?
No.
Alrighty, well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. This is episode 163. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and it is episode 163. And do you believe in Joe Hendry?
I definitely believe that he's going to be in that Royal Rumble. You can't tell me otherwise, you can't swerve me. He's going to be in that Royal Rumble.
He is the brand new TNA World Champion.
I don't believe he's going to win the Royal Rumble.
Nope. Is he going to legitimately set up a match with Cena at some point? Wouldn't that be crazy?
That'd be crazy. Or Cena goes over to fan booking to just crazy booking. Cena goes over to TNA and challenge him for the TNA championship.
Have one match someplace else before he wraps it up.
Why
That'd
not?
be crazy. He never has. That's like one thing that's one thing he's never done is ever have any sort of match or affiliation with another brand.
That'd honestly be pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
if he went and did that. It'd be like a moment, for sure, like a wrestling moment.
He'd be trading like an audience full of like 12,000 people for like a few hundred though.
Yeah.
It'd be a little different for Cena's career.
He would probably embrace it, though.
Yeah.
Because it would be super different for him.
The crowd would be interesting though.
The crowd would definitely be different. I think he'd probably put people in them seats. So
Oh, yeah.
out there and wrestle in TNA. He'd put more people in them seats.
Do you remember how vicious it was? Like, for small crowd's sake, like whenever he was ECW One Night Stand and they all just were throwing his shirt back so many times at him and flipping him off, and like they were like pissed off at Orton, and like when Cena came out, I mean they were when the whole if Cena wins we riot, like the sheet. It's like it seemed like Philly would have.
They would have probably definitely rioted if he would have won that match against RVD, which is the fan favorite of all time on ECW. So.
He was one of the few that actually cashed in. Like, it was strategic, but it wasn't like it wasn't like, oh, I've got to get you down and out and then beat you like that. Like he was like, no, I'm cashing in. ECW One Night Stand 2006, like after winning at WrestleMania, whenever they like basically opened the show with Mania, which I always thought that was. Or with the Money in the Bank at Mania, I thought that was awesome. Just start off hot. But yeah, RVD, like, I don't know. Somehow we got into that, but that, like, I don't know. I thought that was awesome. I was like, man, I really wish that run had lasted longer, but then him and Sabu got pulled over because they had a whole shitload of, like, weed on them.
Yeah. I think honestly what his Money in the Bank
It wouldn't
briefcase
screw
was
him
beautiful.
over.
The Money in the Bank briefcase he had when he won it, that was a beautiful Money in the Bank briefcase. I think they need to start like customizing briefcases more often than they have been. So I actually like that direction that they've been doing with like Tiffany's when she had hers and Breeze. I think they just keep the tradition going. It's actually a nice little addition to it.
Yeah, they could do it for like one of the men or the women's every year. Just if it's like a character, or just if it makes sense, if there's a character that like really has an image or something, it's specialized the briefcase.
The next one's gonna say Dirty Dom.
You think so?
Probably. If he if he gets it and he's got something on there, yeah, I'm sure it'll say that. But we'll see. In due time. When the hell is Money in the Bank anyway?
It's usually in July.
But they've been switching up all the shit though too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I thought it was earlier, and that's the thing, because it was like, when is that Saudi show gonna be? You know?
Yeah, no telling when they do Saudi, honestly.
Sometimes it's in the spring.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like fall.
Wouldn't be surprised if we get another Saudi after Saturday night's main event. Who knows?
Might do a Saturday night's main event in Saudi.
Hey, I heard the Saudi crowd. They love their old timers. So.
Yeah, you could. I mean, I did really enjoy the like throwback feel to Saturday night's main event though. The first one, it felt like super 80s. I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a good way to touch on it, because especially like with me, where like when I was born, I didn't have Saturday night's main event. So
yeah.
Like, the older time period of it, I caught it when I was like, it was still kind of at its peak, but it was kind of like tied, like it would died down at that point. But it was a good little touch, a good little addition to it.
Mm-hmm. Saturday night's main event was like, they'd host like huge matches on there before they would do like pay-per-views and stuff, you know, like that was like the big like, oh, like televised, they would advertise way in advance like Saturday night's main event. So it's kind of neat that they, you know, all these years later like do bring it back, and they bring back all these like guys that are at least still alive that participated in that era and stuff. Like Jesse Ventura being back, that's crazy, because he hadn't been, like, how long had it been since he had even been associated?
Closer to 40 years. I mean, like 35, 40, you know, something like that.
That's like crazy.
Long time. The early days. I mean, like, they were still in the single digit manias when he was still, like, when he was involved.
Yeah.
So that was some time ago. But yeah, Money in the Bank 2025 is in July. I think it's in Milwaukee, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I think it's time for a nice round of the good, the bad, and the shits. Introduce E to it for the first time. Do you want to go first, or should Elijah? What are we doing here?
I go with the flow.
Well, I can go first.
All right.
What do we feel about the brand new edition of the Women's Mid-Card Championships?
I like it. I think that's a good thing for a lot of talent, especially in the women's division that does not get a lot of time on the show a lot, especially like Chelsea Green, which is probably one of my favorites right now. So happy that she got that belt, because I think she was definitely due for it, especially with everything that, you know, the ladder match that they had recently with the women. And she took that crazy bump off that ladder. That's when I knew, like, put a title on her.
Yeah, Chelsea, like, she's for real. It's kind of neat because you see her stuff in, you know, like, independent scene. She's like taking some real bumps.
Yeah, her match with Penta, Lucha Underground, which is insane. Match.
Yeah.
So Chelsea's being champion. Lyra winning the Intercontinental. That's a good little addition. So it's just like the little things that they're doing. I know a lot of people complain about is a lot of titles, but I think the women definitely owe that for a mid-card title to get more women onto the show and not use the same people when you can use different women that don't get a lot of TV time. So that gives them something to do other than sit and cater. So.
Yeah, I really enjoy it too because they have so much positive women talent. Like now, like really, really good, you know, women wrestlers, and it feels like they didn't necessarily need titles to utilize them all, but it's like this is gonna help them utilize them because now they're gonna have no choice but to, you know, like
they're forced to do it now.
like they have all these like they had the tag titles, but WWE feels like they've never known really how to book tag titles. Like,
they have, just not too much in like the last 10 or 15 years.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true too. It's like the women's ones just never really like. Who has them right now?
It's right now currently who has the women's titles is Bianca and Naomi. Even though it is Jade Cargill, she still is champion, but
it's gonna be Bianca Jade at Mania. You think?
I think Naomi did it because for the longest time,
I get that.
For the longest of time, Belair keeps saying it's no weeds, and when Belair will ask Naomi about it, Naomi kind of like switches the direction off the topic, and she did have to face her in that tournament for the U.S. title. Then she wound up getting hurt. You can't tell me it wasn't Naomi.
Well, also Naomi, Jade, and Naomi and Bianca were like friends, and then Jade came up, and then Jade kind of took Naomi's spot, like they were like a trio, but like Jade became like Bianca's like closest,
yeah.
And then so maybe there's like a jealousy angle there too a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
That could be kind of neat, but she needs to come back before Mania too.
That might be a thing. Like, would you think that could be a feud outside of even having belts on the line though? Because I think the women's title matches might be, because even if Io doesn't win the Rumble and Charlotte does, Io could still be in the world title match.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like the other one.
Like me personally, I feel like with that feud along with Belair and Jade and Naomi, I don't think it really needs a title. So I think you can, with that storyline alone, you can get people invested into it where it doesn't need a title.
As long as they don't flounder it, which somehow they do with like, I've seen like wrestling pages kind of joking about that, like with the whole Rikishi, I did it for The Rock and stuff, like how they just kind of like fumble the ball when it comes to like people getting hit by cars storylines.
I did it.
Like, who even knows at this point? People are like throwing out like hilarious theories of who it could be though too.
Yeah.
What if it did just make no sense?
It's gotta be Naomi, right?
It has to be.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
It's Naomi or Bianca. But anybody else, somebody was like, oh.
What if they were both in the car?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Somebody was like, it could have been Charlotte. But I was like, so Charlotte's kind of like far-fetched. Because Jade and Charlotte had that one interaction, but they just looked at each other and stared each other down.
It's just like, oh, there she is walking.
Yeah. And they're showing the package and everything, like getting ready for Charlotte to make her comeback. And I really don't think that, I don't know, they're not going to show that in All-Star Reveal. Oh, well, she actually did this. Like, I don't think that's entangled into the same thing, the same storyline, you know?
It was Cody Rhodes. He did it on accident.
I do think.
He's just like, shit, I can't let anybody know that was me.
Yeah, hopefully nobody caught that.
There's just a giant investigation. He's just like, oh, who knows?
Jade will work a WrestleMania, like one of the women's title matches, like one of these days. She probably needs more in-ring work than, you know, to like go out there solo and put on like a women's main event, like, or at least like for the belt. I like Jade a lot though. She is like, she's got, that's the thing. Anybody that is a really, you know, well-rounded performer, like in the ring, you know, a lot of them might have that on her, but like she's got a 10 out of 10 look.
Oh yeah,
like,
she definitely has the look of a superstar, but she,
you know,
yeah, it feels like, and I do like her too, and I want to root for her, but they're like, sometimes I do get frustrated during matches where I'm like, man, I know all these other women are good, like, and I don't want to be blaming you, but like, I know Bianca's not slowing this match down, you know?
Yeah, me and you were talking about this a little bit too, and I'm like, I think it's part of it is maybe like because she is such a physical specimen, it's almost hard for her to like mesh with some of these like You know what I'm saying? Like these women in a way, I guess. Because she is still green in the business because she really the first time she was ever on TV was her debut in AEW. I'm like, that's crazy to work your first match live in front of potentially millions of people or a million people or whatever. I'm like, that's a lot of pressure, really. But yeah, I always liked Jade. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But they're loaded with talent. Like they're not like lenient on anybody. You know what I mean? No. Even if a couple of them had to retire or leave or whatever, I'm like even the women's division, like they're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You know,
it's too much depth in that women's division.
Yeah. So. And there's more like now that the women's wrestling is just as awesome as it is. It's like there's a lot more up and coming women that are gonna be awesome. You know. Just as many as men, really, now. Yeah. I mean, maybe not just as many, but like there's a lot of women's wrestling now.
You can, in a way, you have a pathway that's more accessible if you're like a women's wrestler, because I mean the men is so saturated with so many guys that just think that they can make it or are trying to make it and everything. That it's so if you're like a women's wrestler and you're actually really good, it's like your potential to make it is probably a lot higher. To make it to WWE.
Oh, if you're
you know what I mean?
Pretty damn good, yeah.
Because there's a lot of people, like men's wrestlers, that never make it to WWE, and they're tremendous, you know?
All you really need, I mean, look at Jake. Like, if you really have the look, they might pull you anyways and try to, like, train you the way they want to train you. And that's the thing, too. Like, that's kind of another knock on AEW. It's like, you guys had Jade all this time. How does she not learn shit? Like, how does she need this much training with WWE?
They put her in squash matches.
I think, like, people, like, with a lot of experience, like, Punk has been giving her pointers. I think also, like, she was being trained by Bryan Danielson. And, like, since she's been in NXT, like, Sean's been helping her. And I'm like, well, those are two of the best people ever you could learn from performer wise, like Sean and Bryan Danielson. Especially as far as
what ring
work goes.
She got to have picked up on some of that. Like Sean and Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan. Like you got one of the best showmen, one of the best like technical. I mean, She's got all the elements. She just needs to put it together. Like I said, it'll come eventually. I think like they'll want to do Jade and like Rhea maybe down the road, or Jade and Charlotte, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of potential matches of women that have still never even matched up like in the ring. So we'll probably get a lot of those at some point.
Bianca, Charlotte, like I thought that was gonna happen last Mania, and then Bianca where Charlotte got hurt. And so that was kind of a bummer because, like, I started thinking about that way in advance. Like, they haven't really faced in, like, a big spot. And I thought that, Bianca was, like, champ, right? If she lost the belt maybe, like, a little before Mania. What did Bianca do last? Oh, yeah, her and Jade and Naomi had that 6-woman tag. But, yeah, I just thought that could be, like, a really damn good match. Because I'm like, they're both, like... They're kind of like differing styles, but they're both really, really talented. And Charlotte can be like a very despised heel, and Bianca's like the woman John Cena. So it just makes sense.
Definitely giving me the woman John Cena. like I used to watch Bianca back down in NXT, and her as a heel was the best work she was doing.
I think she's got to flip her stuff though after a while. I think it's gonna get like we were talking about that.
But she's definitely gonna play that Bailey role in a minute where like it's gonna go on for a little too long.
Yeah.
And people's gonna kind of like get kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
Especially the less she remains out of the women's main picture. You know what I mean?
That's the thing though. She might start getting like she might really become Jane Cena, like, because the little girls, like any little girl, Bianca is their favorite. So it's like even if adults start tiring of her and booing her,
you can have
kids
fans
love
as
her.
heel,
Yeah.
like as a heel though.
But they never really changed Cena because it was like he was the staple
I think
for
they
the
will.
kids.
They even did. Bailey had the most like colorful.
Yeah, but she never
everybody's
took over as the face
You know what I mean?
of like the women's division for little girl. Like she was kind of that, but
I
like
wouldn't say that
Bianca
Bianca's
like
the
had the
face of the
belts.
division though, by any means.
Yeah,
There's
but like
Charlotte,
for
there's the four
kids,
horsewomen are
she
still
is.
there. I guess 3 of them are, because Sasha cried and went home. Oh man! Oh, we haven't even touched that at all tonight.
What, Mercedes?
Yeah.
I will always support Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. I just wish she would have never left WWE because it's not doing nothing for her career, honestly. It's helping. She's having good matches. She's having a match that she probably would never have if she would have stayed. But as of like me going on my way to go watch a Mercedes match, not so much. I wouldn't go on my way to go watch her on the other television show.
I just don't know. I don't know if she ever goes back because I think she's gonna want there's no way they're gonna give her what AEW gave her.
More money. I don't think she'll go back.
And why and if they're not, what's the incentive? You know what I mean?
That's how I am with Sword 2 as well. Like the amount of money that he's probably getting, WWE's not gonna pay him that amount of money to come over.
And that's the thing. It's are you gonna take a pay cut to go to the bigger company, like a major one, and
Some
then
of them
potentially,
will, but not a lot.
and then potentially not to? And that I was gonna say, I think that depends on if they've tasted it already by now, if they've had success there or whatever else, because I don't know.
It depends on what your goal is. I mean, if you want to
MJF's
cash
for
checks,
sure gonna go eventually.
Yeah,
I don't know when.
he's making good money though.
Yeah, and he'll be really polished.
He's
by
got
the
some
time
of the
he does
best
go.
booking too.
I just hope he doesn't he doesn't get lost. He only had a few matches on the on AEW the whole 2024. He had 3 matches. He was filming Happy Gilmore too for some of it, which that's gonna be great when that comes out too.
I'm still kind of upset that his part from Iron Claw was cut. I kind of wanted.
He was
to
in
see...
it for. Did you see Iron Claw? The Iron Claw?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh man, yeah, it's good. It's if you know anything about the Von Erichs, so that was a heartfelt tearjerker. It was kind of cool and heartwarming for the first hour, but I was just man, as soon as one of these brothers goes, this is gonna be as soon as David passed away, it was boom, boom, boom. It was fucking brutal.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's heartbreaking, but it's a true story too, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good one, but it's
The Von Erichs.
it is
It was
powerful.
It was well told. I mean,
Yeah.
I liked the movie. Just
Yeah.
the guy that played Flair wasn't the greatest. That was about
he was horrible.
scraping the bottom of the barrel for that. That movie was awesome, and honestly, that was the weakest part because you would think
I heard
that this guy
Flair was
had
pissed
never.
off.
Yeah, you would think that this guy. It's not even hard. Any one of us could imitate Ric Flair and come off sounding a lot more like him. This dude, it's like he never watched a Ric Flair promo in his life. Depending on how
He had a horrible looking wig. He was just
his sounds and his woo wasn't even right.
How was the woo?
I don't
It was
even remember anymore. It wasn't.
Woo! It was no, that sounds.
See, that sounds
it was
too
like
good.
it was I know because I'm used to doing it well, not shitty. But it was how do I even kind of explain it was not totally a woo. It almost sounded like a whine.
It was
woo.
a
It was like a whiny woo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he say the 4-1 catchphrase that Flair normally says is, or was he just saying a woo?
Well, he said a couple. There was clips of promos that Flair did that they were showing of him. But I think for copyright purposes too, he couldn't verbatim do the whole thing, but they did show clips of legendary moments that Flair had, in interview and stuff in promo form. But
That guy didn't translate well.
No.
Yeah.
And the guy that played Harley Race did a really good job.
Good.
There was a lot of people that like David looked and kind of was a lot like David Von Erich and stuff, and there were elements of it that were, but that was by far the worst one. But Flair also has the most press and the most, content over him over his lifetime.
How in the world are you gonna mess that one up?
I don't know.
How can you not get somebody better to play Ric Flair?
The first guy they had to have gone with their like second string guy or something.
He's one of the most impersonated like personalities there is.
Oh yeah. Oh no, like sports teams are always like, give me what is it, like 3 claps and a Ric Flair or 3 something. This is like football teams and everybody will like do the limousine riding, man.
Yeah.
The jet flying. I almost wore that shirt, but it was kind of like wrinkled, and I was like, fuck that. But yeah, I have that shirt that actually says that. But yeah, as far as the women's mid-card titles go, I would probably say fair, because it makes sense that they have them now. And I was really glad, honestly, that was like the highlight of the show when Chelsea was like inaugurated the first, U.S. women's champion. Other than that, like whatever show she won that on, the show didn't really move the needle very much. Not that it was bad, but it did.
Saturday night.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say it didn't really but we knew that with pay-per-view around the corner, nothing really was gonna change so much. I feel like that's a given in a lot of circumstances. But I definitely think that's. I mean, it makes sense like for them to have one, and then also we'll get more of the credible women like on the roster, like on the show, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, like they keep it relevant and keep defending it and making it. You know what I mean? Like hopefully they're seen again and again. And I kind of hope there's like, not that obviously the women in the mid card can't like come up to the main event, or some of the main event talent can't come back down occasionally, like some of the wins of the mid card titles, depending on what their status is. But you like to see it be some sort of, okay, well, this is the main event picture, and who the women are in that picture, and then there's some that are still working for it, and those are the ones like in the mid card. But that's the thing, is like sometimes I like lose track of even who has the women's tag team titles though. I'm like, what the hell are they even doing? I don't even know who has some of the men's tag team titles right now.
The tag titles, that's the like set of titles I always lose track of. I'm like,
I think right now the War Raiders got the Raw titles.
Yeah, that sounds right.
They like only show
and DIY.
They like only show these people in like the weekly shows, but they like never defend them on like the pay-per-views. Why?
I don't know, honestly. I would just be like, okay, well.
That's annoyed me for a long time though. It's like I like tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
And then they just were like, I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. I am happy we're doing more women's mid-card stuff now, though. Like, I'm pumped Lyra won. She's, like, growing to be one of my favorites on the women's roster now. I feel like, too, Charlotte being gone, I'm like, damn. Like, it made me realize how much I, like Charlotte being there. I'm like, this fucking sucks, man. When is she coming?
She's not going to be.
I feel like she's going to be
forever.
there.
So
yeah, I mean, there's other women that I've liked a lot too, but Charlotte's she's damn good, man.
Oh yeah, no, she's probably the best. It sounds crazy to say because she's still like in her run and everything, but she's definitely like in terms of the business and like WWE, like she's absolutely the most accomplished of all time, and also like her in-ring work, her character work, how her mic work has evolved. Like she's absolutely got a case for the greatest women's wrestler of all time already, and she's definitely got some years to go. But I was talking to E about this one day when we were working and stuff. I was like, a lot of the time the women like do, and even though now like we're healthier like later on and like bodies are holding up longer, I still think most of the women are definitely going to check out like average age wise 10 years, if not maybe before than the average like male wrestler will. You know what I mean? Just because that's the way it goes. Like I don't see somebody like Charlotte even. She probably could if she wanted to, but I don't really see her working past her early 40s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before just calling it a day. Because women also they're probably not gonna want to beat their bodies up like that the way the men do, like wrestling at 56. Oh fuck, I gotta get a knee replacement first. And it's like, goddamn,
icing the fucking
Yeah.
shoulder, heating their knee,
they're-
like hobbling on the stairs and shit. Being Mick Foley, like,
yeah,
dude, that was the funny thing. Like, one of his documentaries, I think, he like was talking to his daughter because she was like trying to train to wrestle, and Mick's like, oh, you know, you could do anything you wanted out there, like any career you wanted. He's like, I suggest, you know, you don't wrestle. He's like, I mean, look at me. Look at how I am. I have a hard time getting up and down the stairs, and it's like, she ain't gonna be doing what you were doing. You're fucking going through flaming tables and onto tacks and getting tossed off Hell in a Cell and barbed wire ropes and like. Mick Foley, you're one in a fucking million, man. You and Terry Funk and you like
fucking Japanese like death matches and shit, and or in Japan they would do that, like barbed wire and like explosives and shit.
just going to another country to do that shit. I would feel less safe already. I'd be like, they might fucking let me die over here. I don't know how it's gonna go. I could bleed out.
What'd you say for him? You give it a fair? Underrated, overrated?
I think that's fair. I love what the women division has been doing, and I love it how it's thriving with all the new talent and that the stud-studded roster that they have, especially from NXT. The possibilities of a lot of these talents getting called up to the main roster, not even just from NXT, but from other companies too coming over. Its possibilities are endless, and I hope Triple H keeps booking towards the women's division. Shawn Michaels is doing a damn good job of it over there in NXT with the women. So I think women's wrestling right now, I think we're in good hands with good women's wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's looking on the up and up for the women's division for sure in general.
The whole company the past year and a half has been,
It's been booming.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, it just feels like there's just a different level. Like whenever The Rock came back too, and like everything leading up to last Mania was as big as it was like, it felt like it was to a level it hadn't been in a while, you know, at least in, you know, a number of years. And it was like the whole season, everything felt exciting. Like a lot of the shows actually felt like, fuck, I gotta see what the hell is gonna happen, you know? Which today's age, like you're just like, I just want to see the highlight. You know, I mean, you can watch the shows, but you're also like, what happened if I fell behind? And like, it's just, I know whenever I'm like, I feel an urgency to watch it, I'm like, this is actually fucking really, you know, being well produced, well storytold, you know, being well story told too. But you got a topic for us?
I got the ugly, and I think it's time to put this group to rest. Never bring it back. Break them all up. Judgment Day 2025. Let it go. I'm tired of the Judgment Day. It's not the same. They've changed a lot from what they were presenting in the Judgment Day to currently now, and they're doing this little angle of Finn kind of on this like weird little path of not like they're not all on the same accord. And that's what their story that they're playing on. They're all not on the same accord and everything. And I think it's time to break it up. We already seen the end of Damian Priest and Finn, Rhea and Liv. So where do you go with the Judgment Day? Honestly, at this point, you break them up at this point, and you kind of just let them do their own little thing without the group.
Yeah, that's what it's kind of a bummer though, is it's like the Judgment Day's entire existence felt like it became to be a thorn in the side of Damien and Rhea. That was it. Like,
Yeah.
that was the whole point of the whole group. It's like, bro, there's too many of you in here to just be focusing on Rhea and Damien. And then, of course, oh, what do you know? That's going to run dry and get old. And then those rivalries are going to end. And then it's just going to feel like the group needs to end. Because it's like, well, what are you guys doing? Like, what's the point?
They're always in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
They're in the clubhouse playing WWE 2K
Just arguing.
and arguing. So I just be like, well, might as well end the group. You let Finn and JD do their little thing. I think Dom probably splits away from it entirely, and you let Dom kind of do his own thing. Liv and Raquel Rodriguez kind of do their own thing, even though Raquel, I'm not invested in Raquel. I'm just not. It's kind of.
You're not sold on her.
Not sold on it at all with Raquel, and it's nothing against her personally, just character-wise, not sold on it. JD, he could be with Finn. Carlito, that's kind of the odd man out because
it's gotten so just watered down compared to like the way it was.
Oh, it's so shitty compared to the Judgment Day of like what, like 2 years ago? Judgment Day 2 years ago was on fire.
What about whenever Cope was there?
no.
I mean, yeah, no, that
That was so goofy though, because it was so
didn't last
short-lived.
long, yeah.
That was so goofy. It was like freaking. He was part of it for like 2 months.
And then they took him out, and then I honestly think, and to this day, I still disagree with this decision. Finn Balor should have won that Hell in a Cell match. You didn't have to let Edge go over, but you know, probably just me because I was a fan of the Demon Finn. And every time he put that face paint on, I just knew he was losing. And he never won with that on the main roster.
Yeah, he never really lost with it in NXT, but
Yeah.
He never lost it in NXT, but main roster wise, he was just losing. So I was just like, well.
Vince is like, oh, you want to put that
Yeah.
paint on again tonight?
I remember freaking seeing this post that was like alluding to like how Triple H packages like, you know, just the women and men and like whatever, but like into a character, into like they're kind of one with whoever they're presenting themselves as in NXT, and it's like, oh man, they got a badass entrance, everybody's behind them, and then it's just like the next part of the post is like showing them, and then they're like, yeah, this person when they're brought to the main roster, it looks like just a fucking default character off like the game or some shit. It's like, all right, well, take everything they got away and let's see if they can be successful. It's like, how the fuck do you think this is gonna work?
That time period where people were getting called up and just going to the main roster was just bad.
Oh yeah.
It was like my probably like favorite one that was just horrible was when Bobby Roode got called up and he was over in NXT. He goes over to SmackDown. He wins the US title, and nothing ever came out of any of it. And then it was just like a pattern of NXT call-ups getting called up. Nothing went well for him. Balor was one. Bayley at a point in time before Bayley wound up having her little stint and changing her gimmick. It was just like, wow.
Baron Corbin, he got fucked over from NXT to main.
Apollo Crews.
Oh yeah, he
People
really
don't-
got fucked over.
People don't even know that he's still there.
He shows up every now and then too. It's like,
where did Bobby Roode even go?
I think I remember one time he got hurt, and then
He's
been hurt, and then he wound up being like a producer like right after that. So he's been producing matches and stuff. So that's been the thing with Bobby Roode, but it was just like a lot of people they called up, and you just like kind of forget like they were even there.
At least Finn has stayed relevant all these years, though. Like he's always there doing stuff. He's always in matches. He's always facing main event people. It's not like he's like you forget about him. But
do you ever feel like he wasn't really ever given his just due though?
Oh yeah,
all the time.
I mean,
you know,
Finn has never got his due.
kind of like Bray.
he won that title, got hurt, never got it back.
Yeah.
He never had anything important after that, or he would get close to a title match, and you just know. Like,
He would always be the guy, oh, who's going to make it to the finals? Oh, it's Finn! But then you're like, whenever you did the math, you're like, oh, he's going to lose again. In the next tournament, and then in the next number one contendership, like, he would always, it's kind of like whenever, what's her name went there? What the fuck was her name? Part of the stable that Liv was in, whenever she first got there. to WWE with what's her name? She went to AEW.
Oh,
Why can't I think of her name?
Oh, Ruby Riott.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep,
Ruby
yeah.
Soho. Riot Squad.
Ruby Soho.
Ruby Riot.
Oh man.
The Riot Squad was kind of cool.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was good. I just reminded of fucking when Nyla Rose came out and said that she like just for no reason. For no reason,
I hated
like,
Nyla Rose, dude. I hated her.
She's like, it's almost like Tony didn't know what to do. He's like, oh, we need to fill 30 seconds real quick. So like Nyla Rose just comes out randomly, like the next week after she loses.
She was kind of funny.
Fucking like a tournament match. And she's like, Ruby Soho. She's like, if we had wrestled 100 times, I would have won 99 of them.
It's like, well, you lost the one time then last week.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up and get out of here.
But it was like she went
doing
out there and bitched about it like for like 30 seconds, and then she fucking went back. Didn't even come off the stage. It just went out there. Like they're like, we need to fill this 35 seconds. And then I was like,
we just had Ruby celebrate with the crowd for like 30 seconds.
And it went just like that too. She just like Ruby Soho. It's like Jesus.
The way she talked, man, was always off-putting.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't know about that.
She's still over there?
I think so. I haven't kept up with that long with. I made a joke about AEW All Empty Wrestling. Haven't kept up with them in God knows how long.
Dude, and that's the thing, like, I was like, I don't want to dump on AEW all episode either, which I don't think necessarily the whole episode we just touched on a few things with it, but I just still don't understand. I mean, I get it, it's Tony's, like, booking and decision-making and stuff sometimes, but how do you have that much talent over there, and they're struggling to fill seats? You know what I mean? They got every big name that WWE doesn't have, for the most part, at least. There's also some people on, like, the indies, obviously, that are rising through the ranks, but by and large, they've got everyone big that WWE doesn't have.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's just presentation. I think they're appealing to the hardcore audience when
The 10% instead of the...
when you need to be presenting it to the 100% of other eyeballs who probably haven't watched wrestling in over years. You're just presenting it to one audience, and that's where that problem has occurred, and not that many butts are in seats.
Nope.
And honestly, they need to start putting AEW in smaller venues. Bigger venues is just not working. They've been here before. They're putting it in a smaller venue. And so when I watch it on TV, they're in a bigger venue. You see empty seats, and it's like, how do you go wrong with this star-studded roster and you're only using probably like what 40-50% of it, and a lot of guys that's there and women not even on television, they're just there or stuck on a contract, not wrestling.
I know, it is a bummer because, like, when they first came around and for a while, like, they were pretty good and I, like, had pretty high hopes for them. And it was neat because it was like, oh man, we might get, like, two companies that are, like, both good, consistently pretty good, and kind of differ from each other, but they'll have, like, both people you like. And then something just happened where it felt like all of a sudden the AEW was like, oh yeah, we don't give a fuck about telling a story or like playing something out. We're just going to try to sign as much talent as we can possibly sign, and then just try to get 15-star rating matches from Dave Meltzer. Like that became the main goal, like, was to just put on these epic matches, but they didn't care about building.
They was at a point in time, I used to think the alternative, especially with how wrestling was at that time period, how matches was getting laid out, offensive booking it, they were the alternative once they knew they were kind of the alternative. They had all the smoke and mirrors. They had it all, and the Punk footage basically kind of the Punk situation entirely.
Once the brawl out thing happened, well, even I was gonna say that made things really crazy, but I mean the Hangman promo that kind of set him off at the beginning, and then Punk obviously got hurt, and then he came back, won the title again, but then got hurt probably in that fight backstage, not confirmed, but yeah, that's what he basically alluded to in that interview, because otherwise why wouldn't he be able to talk about it? Because what's his name actually asked him. He's like, did you get hurt in the fight or the match? And Punk's like, because he signed an NDA. And the thing is, if it was not because of the fight, he would have been able to answer it. Because why would you be able to answer it for getting hurt in the match? You only can't talk about it because I really, I guarantee, if he was swinging and those guys came down to his locker room, which is pretty fucking irresponsible for EVPs. Like, that's the way you handle it. Like, you just...
Yeah.
Like, they... you know what I mean? Like, that... I don't know. That just sent a bad message out to everybody. And, like, the whole... Do you remember that whole period, though, where after that happened, everybody was like... They're like, oh, what's going on in AEW? But, meanwhile, everything people are obsessed about, they're like, well, when's Punk coming back? When's he coming back? All of the narrative for the next 10 months was still about where he was and what he was doing.
Yeah, it was definitely mainly about what was Punk coming back, when is Punk gonna be there, because all the reports came out, and that was kind of the topic point of AEW was Punk. It wasn't even just AEW at this point, it was just the Punk situation. How would that get resolved? Would it ever get resolved? And it was reports every other week of Punk getting into some type of altercation in AEW.
Yeah. Well, they made it sound like, I was telling Stevens this too, I'm like they made it sound like the way he was backstage, he was just going back there and fucking randomly hitting people in the back of the head. Like, that's how they tried to make it sound. They're like, I've never been so scared in my life! It's like he's not just throwing random fists at people backstage.
He's back there with his old scraggly ass dog eating muffins and shit. People are like, this guy's a threat.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like it seems to have worked well for over a year in WWE now, because he's been back and there's been no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, but
they have to
run ship,
and they have to adhere to actual respected management above
that's
them.
The thing.
Fucking, you know what I mean?
So I mean, it's a pretty well-oiled machine over there. People tend to just get along backstage too. Like, they say that they're back there gaming and hanging out at catering and shit.
It really is, though. The business can stand on its own over there, because they haven't. Not saying they've always handled everything the best, or even. There's things they couldn't have been. There's things they couldn't have been handled better, but the business, or at least WWE, didn't. They had their ups and downs as far as sales and everything goes, but they've still always been around. They've still always reinvented themselves. But the business has survived. After Hogan had his era and he left, Austin, Rock retired, went away, Cena, even Vince, everybody's in the business is still, the wheels keep turning over and over and over. You know what I mean? No matter how many stars have left, no matter how many, but it is a well-oiled machine for sure. I'm glad it's as strong as it's been now, because I'm you want to see wrestling succeed and continue to evolve and not be, just passe. Just you're kind of you're it's not. I love seeing the storytelling as developed as it is now, and as well as it has been the past year plus, really. But
yeah, it's neat that Vince started it, but that it's not coming to die out anytime soon, like WWE at all.
No.
Wrestling since that era is just blown up to a major magnitude. There's so many companies, people, so so many countries that are have promotions.
There's not as much like live viewership per se, but there's more awareness worldwide than ever before. You know what I mean? So it's like, and their sales are like beating most metrics, you know, that they've had in like, you know, times before that. I was gonna say, what was your topic again? I think we got off track. It happens all the time.
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day. Okay.
So
I them in their current form.
Current form Judgment Day. I think.
It's overrated. It needs to.
It
bite
needs
the
to
big
go.
one.
Yeah, I
just think it's just, what can you really do with the Judgment Day? Honestly, after Rhea is done feuding with them and Priest is done feuding with them, where do you go from here?
Because their whole existence is revolved around all that.
That's it.
You're saying.
For like a year.
And they lost the tag belts. So
It used to be good, but overrated, I would say, for the fact that why is it even, you know what I mean? Like, why is it still standing up? Like, it's kind of just, and now, like, Carlito's a part of it, and it's just like, you're just beating a dead horse. There's, well, how can we keep it going?
Bro, just let Carlito be Caribbean cool. Fuck's
That'd be
sake.
fucking sick.
Just bring him out in his fucking, his little, you know, what do they even call it? This little Hawaiian shirt. Let him spit an apple. Bring the old music back. Let him hit the backstabber and just have some fun, man. Put him in the mid card. Have some matches. Caribbean cool. I want to see him again. I feel like he's missing.
Carlito.
Judgment Day though, I agree. Like I felt that for a while now. Like I just didn't know where it was gonna go from Damian and Rhea anyways, because it felt like that's all that it had been for a while, and now it feels like it's kind of on that way though. Like it's crumbling in on itself. So it might there might even be something at Mania, like an inner Judgment Day, you know, kind of war blow off match, but that might be it. I could see it kind of, because Mania is usually where they turn the leaf. That's like the new season starts. So Judgment Day might be done by Mania. I could see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
I got mine for you guys ready if you're prepared. We're shifting back to Rumble, as of, you know, obviously it's coming up here soon. We talked about some of the guys that we think, and women that may win, may not. But what do you guys think of, we talked a little bit about this the other day, what do you guys think of repeat numbers winning in the Royal Rumble?
It's one of those, like, I mean, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well,
After,
eventually,
you
but
know.
they still have a lot of numbers. They've never had a winner.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of cool. You know, it kind of adds like, oh shit, like it does make it seem like there's a reason for, like, there's an importance to the number you draw. You know what I mean? Or the number you come out. If they do put the stat, like they have, you know, a 27 and
Those video packages are always kind of cool.
Yeah,
Setting the stage.
the video packages is always good, and I've seen they've been doing the thing where like they'll show how long the person's been in a match. I hope they do that this year. They did that last year. That was like a good little addition to it. So I can see how long, like, Sami Zayn had been in the Rumble. I can see how long Natalya had been in the Rumble. So because sometimes it's a lot of people in the ring and you forget about them, but sometimes a lot of people that are still in the match, but you got that right there telling you, like, oh, they've been in the match for an hour, they've been there for 30. So I think they should keep that going with this year's Rumble, so people can not lose track of who's in the Rumble, because there's gonna be so much going on. It's always so much going on in Rumble's matches.
yeah, there's like 5 different brawls going on in the ring and shit sometimes.
It's funny though, because when somebody like new comes out, like, oh, number 10, and like whoever's still in there is like, it's like, all right, we're not gonna do very much. You're just like hanging down by the rope, just kind of getting stomped on. You're somebody's foot rubbed into your face or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they have their moment and they come out and stuff. It would be fun to work a Rumble though. I mean, just be like, oh fuck, I'm number 21, like, you know.
And then everybody gets their little fair shine on when they enter the match. You know, everybody
Yeah.
gets a little signature the surprises, especially like that kid feel. Rumble was one of my favorite pay-per-views growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The surprise factor, because you don't know who can show up, and I hope they just continue the surprise factor. You know, just give us some good surprises this year. You know, I know they're going to be using NXT talents. Probably we may see some Forbidden Door from TNA. You know, who knows? But I think this year is going to be probably one of the best Rumbles with the current
star-studded
roster that they have inside of that Rumble this year.
Yeah. It makes it a little more, like, it makes you actually, besides thinking, oh, it's going to be this guy for sure, it kind of gives you a little bit of, oh, I don't know if this happens like that. Because some years you're like last year or even the year before that, we're like, yeah, it's probably going to be Cody again.
Yeah.
Cody, And, like, it kind of sucks because it's like, it does feel, kind of obvious. But this one feels like, because even if we think, oh, Punk's in the leading or something like that, you can still see a scenario where, like, he doesn't and he gets his main event, somehow else he gets, the main event of WrestleMania. But, I mean, if he does, it'll still be really cool. But what if Cena pulls it off? What if, like, we were in, like, long shot, but, like, what if Rock pulls some shit? I'm number 31! It's like, but he can actually do that. He's the fucking final boss.
Yeah.
Or he better be. I don't want to see him unless he's gonna be the final boss. No, but if he's gonna play this heel workout, I do want to see him back as that though, because that shit was great. Now go home and smoke some more crack.
It was kind of weird seeing him as just like a corporate suit almost on Raw. It's like it almost seemed like that's what he was trying to play, where he was just like, hey, he was like saying hello to like the Netflix executives and shit up in their like suite and stuff, and like pointing out Cody and whatnot. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Coming out here and like just felt like it almost didn't matter. Like he started the show and it was a giant pop, and it almost like I thought he was gonna come out and like some shit might go down, it's like, oh, it's the first Raw on Netflix, this might be the beginning of Mania season, he might be back. But he just came out and said some shit.
Oh yeah.
And then drank some tequila and got in his truck and drove away.
Yeah. Got in the truck.
That Netflix was crazy, and then he had Travis Scott out there on live television smoking a joint. Okay, so we're just going in this way different direction. On Netflix, and that was an interesting moment with Travis Scott going out there just blowing the joint.
Yeah.
Thank God Jey Uso didn't hit the joint with him. That would have been bad. He thought about it too. He was like, he asked Travis, could he hit the blunt, and Travis was like, nah. Thank God he didn't hit it, because that would have just been a bad PR stunt right there. Because how the hell would you be able to?
Well, also, yeah, like he's like one of the kids' favorites and stuff right now, and so they're smoking weed with a rapper and shit. Parents would be like, "Oh my God!"
I was like, I saw it and like heard like I think Bischoff and Conrad talking about it though, but I was like, that's fucking hilarious. It's like The Rock gets in his truck and fucking has a glass. All right,
he like dabs up Travis
like,
Scott, takes a swig of tequila, gets in his truck and leaves. It's like
he's like drinking. He's fucking.
I'm seeing a bar.
Yeah, and they're just like, all right. It was fucking hilarious. And like me and you were talking about it one day too, where you were talking about how like they had to call an audible or Shane fucking blew his quad. They're like, Snoop, you're in. There's no way he wasn't high as fuck when he was like doing that.
One of the like
he's
first like stoned dudes to wrestle a match at Mania.
Major props to him for being like so professional and like not at all being a wrestler, and he's just like fuck it. He's like I'll do it
On the fly, like how he did. It was just on the fly.
Oh yeah.
Because something just told me like that Shane spot wasn't planned.
No, and then they took the camera off him too, because you're like, oh Shane, and then he got in the ring and immediately like Vince just
No, remember the match started because he leapfrogged Miz, and when he leapfrogged him, when he came down, that's when he blew it.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Dude, he hadn't even exercised those fucking muscles and joints
So
in
he
like
probably was
years.
like all like,
And he's just like,
psyched
fuck it, I'm the guy I was. Ah!
like, bro.
It's like it finally settled in. Was that Mania 38? Was that the one Steve was on?
It was
I think
30,
it
it
was
was
30.
39 that he blew
Was
his
it?
shit out, yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's
You
just
were
stupid.
pumped to see him. And
Oh, I was hyped, bro.
Here comes the money! Have
Like,
we ever used that on here?
I don't know.
That's a
I
great
feel like
one.
we would have.
Yeah.
Because I was
I don't
like,
think
I
we
didn't
did.
expect to see him, but since Vince wasn't in charge of the company, I was like, oh fuck yeah, Shane's back.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and blows his fucking quads out. I'm like, damn.
Like father, like son.
His dad, he like, just what we were talking about when he like, whatever the fuck Shane did to just fuck up the Rumble when it was in St. Louis that year, like causing all that chaos backstage. Like,
Oh, yeah.
He gets back and Vince just like, get the fuck out of here.
Literally, he was like, I don't know what the hell his deal is. He was like fucking with people backstage and saying like, or like, they're like, oh no, Lesnar's doing this. And I think he was like, yo, I want to throw this guy over the top rope and
Yeah.
this guy. And like,
Well, he wanted to come in, I think, too, with a number that Lesnar was going to come in or something, and then, like,
yeah.
he didn't want to go out when Lesnar was trying to put him, like, out of the ring. Like, he tried to clothesline him over, but Shane just, like, stiffed him, and he, like, clotheslined the fuck out of him to, like, get him out of the ring.
That Rumble, I would say, that was the worst Rumble I've ever seen. And
We were terrified.
And honestly, I was there live, and the amount of money that I spent on close seats, I was disappointed. I'd probably say the highlight of that show where I seen Sasha Banks like do a split or some shit, and I marked out for it. But after that, it was just like that Rumble. I don't remember anything good coming out of that Rumble. If anything, I remember more bad than good in that Royal Rumble. On that show in general, especially with Roman and Seth ending in a DQ, which was on the pay-per-view.
Well, he beat him clean, but what happened was, didn't he assault him with a chair after? So what they did was reverse the decision.
Yeah, it was,
That's
Which is
bullshit.
kind of weird because I don't even think they said that on air. They're like, later. They're like, no, he got disqualified. Because it's like, what the fuck's the point of announcing that? The live audience wasn't even there by the time you said that. I don't know. But they're like, oh, it racks up a loss for him. Even though he didn't actually get his shoulders pinned to the mat for quite some time after that.
Mhm.
So, well, boys, it's getting pretty damn late.
Yep.
I think we should probably
Time.
call it a night. But
Yep.
if you have anything else to add as far as the Rumble goes, or obviously you can plug all your handles and your TikTok and all your stuff here.
Like I want to tell everybody, enjoy the Rumble. We don't get a lot of good fucking Royal Rumbles like this, and I think everybody should be happy towards next week. That Rumble's going to be very star-studded. I think the whole week, just wrestling in general, Raw, NXT, SmackDown, like we're gonna be good. Even though the last couple weeks, wrestling has been kind of a little down. Well, especially this week, if you ask me, it's been a little down. But come next week, we're gonna be back up in peak. We're gonna be ready. Elimination Chamber, Mania. Enjoy the ride. That's all I can say. We gonna enjoy the ride. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. Winners gotta go with Punk winning that Rumble, and the women. Honestly, I think I'm going Io. If Io doesn't win, Charlotte is the number one candidate in winning that.
Yeah. I think I'm going Punk, Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte's not returned, but
Yeah.
so she's not official, but that's still my pick.
Yeah, that feels pretty right.
This is like the Rumble that like, and I've kept up and watched too, and this just feels like the Rumble that maybe most of all time that I'm like, I don't really even know either side for sure what I think. Like a lot of times I usually have like a clear pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but I don't at all.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of like we have it kind of narrowed down, but it doesn't feel like you wouldn't be shocked if you were swerved. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't be like if there was some sort of some other result that you're like, and that's the thing because sometimes you're literally like, no, it's one of two guys, or it's for sure probably gonna be this guy. But yeah, there's a number of cases I could be seeing made for people to win, but at the same time, there's probably only a few really realistic ones without them doing something out of left field. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, do you want to tell the audience your handle or any of your socials?
Follow me at Rambo Go Crazy TV on everything. We live on TikTok majority of the time. Sometimes I do gaming, sometimes I do wrestling. That's on everything: YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. If I'm not banned or something, shout out TikTok. Also, I just want to tell everybody, basically, just be humble, be blessed. We gotta be thankful for a lot of things that we got and a lot of things that we don't got nowadays. And before I started doing this internet stuff, I had no clear plan. It was just this is something I want to do. It's either it works or it don't work. And I did not have a lot of believers in me. And to get what I'm getting now, I'm forever grateful for the stuff that I did out of nothing. From just going on my way, getting a PC, which was very expensive, and building a following. So to anybody out there, whoever hears this, if nobody believes in your dreams, keep believing in your dreams, no matter what it is. If you want to be a professional athlete, streamer, just go for it. You may never know what the journey can take you if you just take that journey and take that faith.
And you won't know unless you start.
You won't know until you started. And like I tell anybody that's a content creator, you can have videos and that motherfucker gets 50 fucking views. I don't give a fuck. You drop that video, you might not like what you're getting, keep on dropping, and you gonna see the progress. It was at a time period where I was struggling to get views. All it took was that one video, and it changed my perspective on content creating. It made me keep going from people following me to people, giving me my praise. And that's when I kind of knew what I'm doing is working. And all I just say is just keep it going. We never know where the road takes you.
That we don't.
Very true.
And the road to WrestleMania begins the Royal Rumble.
Just a week out.
So, well, thank you very much, E.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
It has been a pleasure, and it has been a hell of a time talking wrestling, talking bullshit, having a good time, and hopefully inspiring some content creators out there. We need a lot of them. We need to keep making this world a more entertaining, enjoyable, fun place you want to thrive, not fucking into a field of negativity always. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's fucking keep that going. And ladies and gentlemen, well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. All our listeners out there, we appreciate all you guys, and we are grateful for your support. And we will be seeing you on the next episode, which will be episode 164. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and have a good week.